was asked, that was correct,
Great, thanks.
You're socially distanced, so. Want something to drink and that, or to eat, and you're eating.
I don't know. I got both my shots,
Oh, good for you.
and one 3 weeks ago.
Nice.
I'm good to go.
Are we on?
Yeah.
So benefits of being home. Yeah, tell me when I got it.
Yeah, here we go.
The question is, do I push start streaming or start recording?
Did it get fixed? There wasn't enough memory.
She's got it live on her phone.
No, all my
Start
kids
recording, but I don't know if
are
it's gonna
24
be.
and 21.
Did anybody do anything to that
No.
laptop?
Oh, gosh. They hit both. I was gonna ask about the schoolhouse work.
No one can hear you. No, that's okay.
Because streaming and recording are two different
No,
things.
I guess it's working out good.
Right, I think it'll stream, which it is
Yeah,
right
well, we
now.
want to stream it and we want to record it.
There's no room on the hard drive to record.
Oh, my baby's that's the big one.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Cassie,
still
when you
good.
did the minutes, you did the minutes for the special meeting, right?
Okay, I know we talked about that.
Could you hear the recording through this website?
There's like a 13
No, it
hour
was executive.
meeting
The
on.
meeting before that, February 24th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just be
So you
deleted.
got the, because our memory is getting full here and we're wondering what's going on.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, it was active on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could hear it.
What?
She got the last recording of the meeting. She did the transcript of everything that was said. She got it off the recording from the website.
Right, but
Not quite full?
right, but it's going to be.
Yeah.
If I delete, there's a 19, it didn't get turned off one time, so there's
Right.
like a 19-hour meeting on there. It's taking up a lot of room.
Yeah.
And that must be archived somewhere other than that laptop, because you can access it with that laptop being off, right?
Yeah.
That laptop is part of, APS, right?
Yes.
Then if they have their sticker on it, then it should be going to the internal
I wondered if we could,
in your.
because obviously that 19-hour thing, a portion of it is the actual meeting, the rest of it is not. We can save what we can, and then eliminate the rest.
That's nice.
So I got both of them on, start streaming and start
See the
recording.
warning on there?
No.
It says there's not sufficient disk space to continue recording. So I'm gonna hit OK on there. And then if we go, where's the,
Yeah, I think so, a little bit.
where's the
Last
plan?
time you came up with that meeting that had the 19 hours, you had a little.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the,
But I remember, obviously, the people younger than us.
Yeah, they were young, it's been a while, yeah.
I wonder if we ought to have
Time
a
flies.
recording device in here,
the,
just in case.
Let's see it work.
Yeah.
okay, so here's the hard drive right here. So freeze it, 118 gigabytes, it's only got 35 megabytes left, okay?
Yeah.
So if we go,
You want to delete that meeting, that's a long one?
that's what I was thinking, it'd be the easiest thing.
Yep. It was back quite a while ago.
Okay, so, yeah, find it first.
You got this in.
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably be helpful to explain.
So we passed the resolution tonight.
Yep.
We advertised it,
Yes, work, yes.
and the only reason to do this is if someone rebuts and puts it down.
And if they don't, I've got that.
Saved his
Okay,
seat.
that's what I thought, okay,
I
okay.
don't know if I was being close to the attorney.
It's funny, I felt this little engineering twinge coming on.
When's our last
That's
meeting?
what I thought.
Last meeting?
I thought, we put it in there as a referendum, and then if
No
no.
offense.
We're moving.
I'm thinking about moving back anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just trying to delete the 19
Oh, and by the way, I
hours.
did get that off,
This one can be
to
recorded.
the, to the state, for the, number one
So
year
is it
of
legal to take your mask
2021.
off?
Yeah,
As long as you're away
yeah,
from
so just,
16.
yeah, so I got that off, so hopefully we can get that taken care of.
How are you saying?
Lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna have to start putting the agenda on a 14-inch paper.
Problem is I can't, I don't know where.
It's gonna end up on 2.
Yeah, 'cause you can't make the font any smaller for us.
Yeah.
No, my God, I can't even see that. Forgot my glasses.
I've sent a few people in to you to get.
Oh, yeah, their signatures, yeah, I know, I've gotta do mine too. Yeah.
Get temporary files, 4.2
Timmy,
GB.
that's Timmy, Diane?
Timmy and Diane.
So I can get rid of the temporary
So we can
files.
Find this
Yep.
one.
Yeah.
Well,
Warren Green,
yeah,
he's gonna have to do, probably Ted, Kathy, but they can do it out in Florida.
yeah. I had another
The
call.
Littles.
I got another call from a guy today. I got a meeting.
Personal download for us.
So they're starting to come in.
Yep, good, I saw one coming
So
in.
it says,
I can't remember, I gotta look through it, does it say how much money the cost would be? Or is it just right now, just the easement?
Just,
Not going out?
so
What's your,
we'll get rid
like,
of that.
like your date of, point of date that you want all of them
But
in
this
by?
one downloads.
Or at least try to.
Personal
then,
download folder.
you know, like to have them in there.
I think that'd be a pretty good.
That could be a challenge.
Yeah, for some people.
So I think, I think we want, you know, in a couple of weeks, maybe start making phone calls.
Okay.
It's only 45.
I was gonna say, there's a few of them.
So I'm sure everybody come up to
Reaching out to
speak.
everybody, yeah.
Did the trailer, not the trailer park, did they? He
That I'm
emailed me.
not, did he? Okay, then he might have. I know one came in and then Nicole had that.
Yeah.
Here's recording.
We gotta keep them and then ultimately we give them to
Okay.
be filed.
Yeah, I'll get with her tomorrow so we can all have the same place we're putting them, so that we have them.
And we probably,
19 hours and 40
make you,
minutes.
I got a
On
master.
November 12th.
Oh, okay, to check them off on?
Take that.
Maybe
and
the
get
other
rid of that.
stuff.
Checking them off, yeah.
Let me make a note of that in a second.
So I have gone through several boxes in the back and I still can't find anything that
Now we
distinguishes
should
the
take
user charge
We still on, Susan?
compared to
The user
the
ordinance versus-
user, or the user charge ordinance
Or the
compared to the user
user
ordinance.
ordinance, yeah.
We're
Yeah.
streaming and
Did
recording.
you see which minutes
Yeah,
after statute over?
Yeah, the ones that I had sent you.
Says we are up here.
But I think the key here to that is that maybe when they were, back then, when they were typing the minutes up, they didn't put in, oh, I mean, it could be a,
User charge.
it could, because the only thing I see that is in nineteen ninety-two
They said
is
something
the
about it last
user
night, I'm in a board meeting, I cannot talk.
you know,
Okay.
that's what, that's just my,
Okay, we'll call the Town of Alexandria March 24th Board meeting to order. Everybody please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, call the town board meeting to order. Motion to approve the minutes. And I have been through
I have all the dates if you need them.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna be able to do all of them. I'm gonna go to the ones that I've got writing on here.
Okay.
I've got November 5th. I've got November 12th. I've got November 19th. I have November 25th. John, didn't I give you one? Yep, and I've got, and I have February 24th. The ones that I just said, I've been through. Has anybody else looked at any of these minutes?
I wish I could say it.
So I would approve those 4, Jesse, that I just went through. The only thing that I have here is, for Sandy, that to change it to Councilwoman Sandy, okay?
Oh, it still said councilwoman, I need to change it to
It
councilman.
says councilman, man,
Yeah, well, that's what we're gonna stick with, is councilman.
okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve those, which would be November 5th, November 12th, November 19th, and November 25th.
How about?
I'm sorry, well, that's 220, yeah. I'm sorry, what else?
You said February 24th, you mentioned.
Right, I have that one here, but I'm not gonna approve that in a second because I've got a correction on it.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
those 4, I'm saying the motion to approve. And I need a second.
I'll second.
Got a second from Sandy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, none. On February 24th, after the Pledge of Allegiance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paragraphs down, Councilman Sandy Caputo mentioned how she does not like the fact that sign outside the door of the office states no public restrooms. I've added on the bottom of that Supervisor Sweet said, which I remember saying this,
Okay.
that I took the no public restrooms off the
Okay.
sign up
Okay,
front.
yeah.
That's
No problem, yeah,
a minor thing, but I did say that and I did take
Yeah.
that off the sign.
absolutely, I think we did that.
So that's the only thing, and I'll make a motion to approve those minutes with that change for February 24th.
I'll look at that.
Second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, none. So that's the minutes we have approved. I do have the October 28th minutes here, but I've got a bunch of notes written on them,
Okay,
and I wrote that I won't approve those. We'll wait for another meeting to do those.
okay.
That's all the minutes. I need a motion to pay the bills.
Make a motion to pay the bills. I had the opportunity to look through them.
Motion by Mike to pay the bills.
Second.
Second by Ron. Discussion on the bills?
Yeah, I have questions. What's the Stewart equipment for 33,000?
The what?
Stewart equipment for 33,000, what is that?
That was 20 new sewer pumps
Okay,
that Jay got permission and was in his budget to buy 20 sewer pumps.
okay, this is what,
And in Jay's report, you'll see right here in the last month, he's changed 6 sewer pumps.
Buying in bulk saved us a tremendous amount of money.
Saved us, Jay had said that, I don't know if that's
Like
in his report.
$8,000 or
How much?
I don't wanna say 8, but I mean, I can't remember.
Saved us a lot of money to buy them in bulk like that.
$3,680,
It's okay, it was a huge amount of money.
Yeah,
just under 4,000.
yep.
okay, my other thing, I'd like to know, why did the water bill at the town barn go up from $34 some cents, the bill before, to $130 this time? The water from Frontenac Spring.
And the water bill you're talking about is Frontenac Springs, and it's for 5-gallon jugs.
Yeah.
And the 5-gallon jugs that were used in past months were how many?
All I did was the dollars. I don't, I mean,
Yeah.
it's in there.
Yeah,
I just wanna know, why did the bill go up so drastically in 1 month?
yeah.
Is there a highway superintendent coming tonight?
No. No,
I was gonna say, we could ask him, but.
yep.
That's it with me.
I know the bill that John's talking about, the 130 what?
130 what I got.
Yeah, is for 16, I believe,
I believe.
5-gallon jugs.
Yep.
And in past, we've gone through, I wanna say 2 or 3. So that's definitely a huge increase.
Yeah.
And whether it's warmer weather and they're drinking water, I don't know the answer.
Logical reasons. Just wanna know.
Maybe Mike's listening to this and he can call or text in and tell us, otherwise we'll have to wait to get an answer from him on that. Any other discussion on
No,
the paying
that's it.
bills? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying no. everybody's in favor. Privilege of the floor. Guess I better see if I have any texts or any emails. Sandy, you're on that too? I don't have anything. We'll keep checking this to see if something does come through. Okay, so we'll go to number 1 on the agenda, which is opening the mowing bids, of which we only have one mowing bid, and it's by Clements Lawn Care, who is our current contract holder for at least the last few years, maybe longer. Town of Alexandria, lawn care maintenance bid contract quote, $15,500 for 2021, $15,750 for 2022. This is the paperwork that we had put together, mowing, edging, and trimming for 4 cemeteries once a week. All turf mowing shall be real rotary mulching mowers. Mower blades will be sharp at all times to provide quality cut. Mow height will be according to grass type and variety. Clippings will be left on the lawn as long as no readily visible clumps remain on the grass surface 36 hours after mowing. Otherwise, large clumps of clippings will be distributed by mechanical blowing by the contractor. Trees, fences, driveways, and other surface areas bordered by grass will be edged every mowing. Contractor will clean up all clippings from curbs and roadways immediately after mowing and/or edging. Mowing weather permitting, if a day must be rescheduled due to weather conditions, the day will change for that 7-day period. Mowing schedule will then return to the normal day of the following week. Contractor will carry liability insurance amounts required by law on his operators and employees and may provide proof of the same to the client. The contractor is also responsible for obtaining any licenses or permits required by law for activities on the client's property. Proof of required insurance provided by the contractor. Contractor's insurance policy renewal is being implemented on May 6th at 12:02 a.m. Standard Time. Please see attached copies of policy information for review. Any damage due to operation of his equipment and performing the contract. Situations which the contractor may deem are not his responsibility. Any damage due to vandalism, any damage due to natural disasters, weather-related damage. Thank you for your consideration for this job detail. If you have any questions, you may contact me at the above listing. Respectfully, John Clement. He's got a copy of his Dryden Mutual Insurance. As I said, he's done this for quite a few years for us, and I think we're very happy with his service. It's the only mowing bid. Does anybody have any questions?
This is for mowing cemeteries.
Yep.
Does he have a list of those cemeteries in there?
He got a list.
I'm just saying in there. If we have a contract, it'd be nice to list exactly what he's doing.
He said 4, I don't know if he,
Well, he received the specs, which gave him all the info.
But is that information actually in the contract, what cemeteries he's doing?
No.
I would think that's kind of important.
He's been doing this for quite a few years, hasn't he?
Yeah.
what's the cost compared to the present year?
Compared to what?
What did you do last year?
I'm not sure, but this number's less.
I think it
I
was
can go
there.
and grab it if you want.
Didn't you read it?
I read the cost for this year. I didn't read last year's
I thought
cost.
it was it.
That's not in here.
15,500 and 15,750.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go get it?
Would it be our
Possibly.
year end?
If Nicole's listening, maybe she knows what that was last
I
year.
can tell you, I have it right here.
Thank you.
Jamie, I'm gonna ask you the 4 cemeteries.
It's gonna be, Church Street, Point Vivian,
Church Street, what else?
Point Vivian,
Yeah,
Market Street,
yeah.
and Highland,
Church Street, Market Street,
Highland.
And what else?
That's it, that's all of them, right?
Point Vivian?
You said Martin, you mean Walton Street?
Walton Street, yeah.
Walton Street,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
that's
Market.
it, Martin. Well,
I don't know any over there.
So I'm gonna add those.
I'm just saying, read.
Yep, oh yeah.
So it was 14,500 for 2019 and 15,000 for 2020.
16,000?
15.
Oh, 50.
14,500 in 2019 and
Okay.
15 in 2020.
Yep, so it's 500 more, and then it's, another 250 above that.
That's reasonable.
Yep. I'll make a motion to accept the sole bid. With, us putting in Church Street, Cemetery, Market Street, Cemetery, Highland Street, and Walton. Those are the 4 cemeteries.
Say them again?
Not Walton.
There's no Market.
Yeah, there's Market, no Walton.
It's a Walton, not Market.
No, it's Walton Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are they for again?
As you said, there's no Market, I got Market here. I've got Church Street, Highland, Walton, what's the 4th?
Point Vivian. There's no Market.
You're thinking of Walt Street Market.
Not yet.
He probably does his own.
It's just,
Okay, motion, second on that motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion, further discussion? Motion to approve, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion, signify by saying no. Motion passed. Okay, Butterfield Lake dock bids.
This is the old ones.
These are the old docks. Yep, and we only have one bid.
Who is it from?
This is from John Kellogg, Clayton, New York. We submit a bid of $5,002 for all the docks currently offered by the town and stored at the town highway facility in Redwood, New York. It is understood that we were responsible for transporting the docks from the Redwood location. The town will be available to load the docks onto our transport. Makes that pretty simple.
What is it? How much was it?
$5,002.
Mackenzie didn't bring one in? Mackenzie?
John Kellogg?
No, Mackenzie Garlock
No, this is,
for the bid.
yeah, you talking about Mackenzie?
Yeah, oh, that's,
That was for the new docks.
oh, for the new one.
We have 2 bids for the new docks.
Okay,
This is for the old docks.
Quote.
okay.
Quotes, I'm sorry, yeah.
We're selling here, buying next.
Yeah, okay.
Holler at me.
Gotcha.
Any discussion?
Is that pretty much in line with what we thought?
That's more than what we
That's what
thought.
I thought.
I mean, that is 5 8 by 25s and 2 10 by 14s. Docks.
Oh,
As I put in the advertisement with waterlogged foam. And he talked to me about this and I explained the whole thing to him, what was going on and why we were getting rid of them and the problem that we had. I actually had 3 or 4 people call me about these. I was surprised we only got 1 bid. So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept Mr. Kellogg's bid.
Motion by Sandy, need a second? Second by Ron. Any discussion? As I put in the advertisement, and I talked to Mike Tibbles about this, he will load those docks onto the trailer or trailers or transport that they bring over.
Now, were we gonna take the cleats off them before?
We didn't go any further with that, we talked about a little, the work and so on and so forth, we were gonna ask them off as is.
Okay. I was gonna say, eventually we're gonna put new docks out there that need cleats.
Yep. And our new dock bids that we have, all the bids are with cleats,
Okay. Okay.
okay?
As is where it is, right?
Yeah, as is where it is. So I got a motion and a second, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed signify by saying nay. Motion passed. Okay. Now we have for new docks, and these aren't bids, these are quotes. I went to, the 3 local lumber yards, and gave them all, information for the bid, or for the quote. This is from Route 37, I just put in a last sheet here, that is the information that I gave them. This particular bid has some things of the types of floats and the warranties and so on and so forth. So we have 2 quotes, out of the 3 places that I went to. And the first one,
Yep,
is from Route 37 Building Supply. And it has a lot of different figures and numbers on it, but the $21,000 is circled, and it says, Route 37 will provide all docks and all hardware to install, with the exception of the ramp hardware, and we will deliver to Butterfield Lake. These docks are 8x24s, times 5 of them, and an 8x, I'd ask for an 8x28 for the T section. And I thought I had saw it here where it said 8x30. What's everybody see here? 6 crates per dock, 8 inches, 2 inches prime.
I'm just looking down here, he's got cost with standard floats, 20,000, then he's got a cost with larger flow, 21, so I don't know if that's the one you're talking about.
Yes, yeah. And in discussion with these different people, we should get the larger float, and that is what we bought for Goose Bay.
Okay.
That's the dock sit a little higher in the water. One 8x24.
Okay, so,
Okay, and then you'll notice on the front page of this, the way I had asked these people to quote this is the first dock that comes out from shore is gonna be in shallow water, and these plastic floats, if they hit the bottom, the stone or the bottom will go right through the float and ruin the float. So the first dock, I asked that the dock be fully enclosed on the bottom, or be able to rest on the bottom, okay? In the bid we have in front of us from Route 37, they used that's why I sent those pictures, they used a special type of float that has a special bottom on it, that has what's called a skid plate, and it's guaranteed, and it can sit on the bottom.
oh, they have a 10-year warranty.
AP16, yes.
So has he got the 8x28 figured in there?
Yes, yes it is.
I mean, I see
Then the front page has got,
Yep.
yeah, but is there a price, I guess?
I'm
As long
sorry,
as it's
what?
included, as long as it's included in it.
If what's included in it?
The 8x28, is it? It is,
It's on the front page.
you know, it's 8x28, right there.
as long as it's,
Okay.
Okay, so how about these other quotes?
We only have one other quote, and I'm having a hard time figuring it out. Let me make a copy of this and I'll give it to everybody.
I thought you said, Mackenzie Garlock is Garlock, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess on this one, what I'm seeing I guess maybe we gotta add all this up.
I don't know.
Connecting hardware, $150 per connection. 8x28 floater, $4,500. Discount price. Anybody figure this out?
Well, he's got, let's start off, down near the bottom, five 8x24s, and I don't see, okay, then one, okay, it's 4,500,
What do you got?
I'm just looking at, okay, this starting, okay, the 8x24s, he's got them at
4,600.
4,600 each, or what is that total? That must be total, right?
Yeah.
I might have to call them.
I'd wanna be a little skeptical.
Huh?
I would say that is each, but it
Well-
makes me scratch my head because the one right underneath it for the one 8x28 is $4,500.
Right,
So why would the longer one be more than the shorter one?
or the other way around.
And why has he got delivery costs of Butterfield for $3,750 and $4,600, and then over here it said delivery included?
Well, I think it's, yeah, $4,600 each. But the eight by 28s, which is
what?
only one of,
I'd like, although
it's
we've already
4,500.
told him what the other one is, I'd like to hear a total from him, because this is kinda tough to figure out.
Yeah. I mean, this isn't something that we have to decide tonight. But it would be nice too.
Hi, this is Mackenzie with Contractors. Sorry, can I take...
You have to pay extra for floats?
Hi, this is Mackenzie with Contractors.
I
Sorry,
think
can I take your
I think a little bit of it's because of the way that this sheet is set up.
I'm just looking,
Talks about the two different size floats.
well, I mean, up here he's got a price for floats, and then down here he's got the cost of the floats.
Yeah.
But all by itself, if the 8x24s are 4,600, it's five of them, that's $23,000 all by itself,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
more than this whole bill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
To move 37.
Well, I think we'll just let it go for now and try to talk to him tomorrow.
That's for sure what Mike says, I mean,
What's that?
Please record your message.
So I don't think we can make a decision with these numbers.
That's not exactly clear, that is for sure.
No.
But it's, if you just take their
Yeah, if you take the
Five-
numbers that are here for
five
the,
8x24s,
yeah,
that by itself is more
Yeah.
than the entire charge for the,
I'm
Compared to Route 37.
skeptical that it's out how much Route 37 bid on it, and we can't even figure this one out.
you're skeptical on Route 37s?
No, we know how much Kenny bid on it, right?
Yeah,
And this nearly, depending on how you read it, it's
Yeah.
different, and
Yeah.
it's not, the
But
bid has been,
the other thing is, trying to interpret it,
Right.
it's more money.
So I'd say give it to Route 37, right?
I just think these docks, did either one of them say how long before they could have them done?
They what?
We don't have another meeting for a month, I'm just
No,
thinking as far as,
we could do a special meeting as far as that's concerned.
But if we if we don't accept the bids as they are, nothing against anybody, but the next one could say, well, I'll do it for 20, because if we're quite sure that he's high here anyways, then let's move on, I would think. I mean, I don't care who gets
Yeah,
it, I just don't want somebody upset.
To be fair,
the other thing is the Garlock one doesn't say anything about having anything on the bottom.
Yeah.
Because it's got their size wood for bottom enclosure, which I understand you wanted that first dock to have protection. It says no wood on bottom. And the other question I've got is, the float, it says 2 foot by 10 inch by 8 foot. Are those styrofoam billets?
Sounds like they are, but so I believe that David or one of the people there told me those are encased in plastic now.
Okay, they don't have the muskrat problems that they,
But I can't answer that, I don't know.
okay. Well, 'cause somebody said it's 23,000 for 5,
that's what it works out to be.
that looks like we can figure that part out,
Yeah.
plus the cost of the 6th one,
Right.
plus the delivery,
Yeah.
it's not really close.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
Well, if somebody wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion, we go with the Route 37 bid.
Motion by Sandy.
I'll
to go
second
with-
that.
and second by John. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? None. Motion accepted. Route 37. Okay,
Refund home.
oh, wait a minute here. Here's a bunch of other papers. Huh. These are all the same, but I thought they were.
Is there a total on it?
The following is estimate for your floating docks, which includes the 8x24s, 2x12s. Total cost is $24,350, delivery included, dumped into the water at the ramp.
That saves us.
It's a lot better than that work we have. Our plastic floats come from Technical Dock and come with a 15-year warranty that covers any damage. The floats we use are foam fills, so if there is ever a problem in your dock, it could never sink. The dock is also set higher because of the foam and have great stability. We would also build an 8x28. This dock would get 6 floats, number 1 decking, and the 8-inch cleats. So this is basically summarizing that price sheet.
Who is that again from?
This is Garlock. This is an
This is
explanation
Garlock?
that I didn't see.
What was the total again?
$24,350.
I don't know where that doesn't mention any number, but that's neither here nor there. It's basically $1,000 or more than that, $1,000 more, right?
The other price we have is 21, right?
Yeah. And the other difference is, these ones, the Route 37 have 10-year warranty, that one is 15.
Yeah.
But, like you say, this one is very explicit as the first set up against the,
Yeah.
the bottom.
I still think we're okay with where we're at.
Yep.
Yep. Do you have any more pieces of paper over there?
Huh?
Nothing.
Yeah. Any further discussion?
Done deal.
Huh?
Done deal. We
Okay.
So So you will contact Route 37
Yeah.
in a week, okay?
Yep. And both people said no problem with the date, we could get the docks, I think, in my discussion with Mike Tibbles, we're talking about the first or second week in May. And he can hook them up, he's got the weights, the anchors to the docks are still in the water, and I believe he tied buoys on the chains. So, number 4, I'm going to is refund for foam floating docks. I talked with the guy who foamed our docks, yesterday, and he is willing to refund us the money that we paid, plus half of the money for taking them out. That comes to a total of $13,600.
And we were speaking earlier, I thought you had some correspondence with him that was actually 14.
I remembered 14, he was gonna check the correspondence, that he thought that we had talked about 13,600, so that's why I just said the lower figure.
Okay.
And he said that there's no way that he can go any more than that, and if we're gonna try to go any more than that, then we've gotta have Mr. Sly get involved, and everybody knows that that's gonna be a process, and that's got legal fees and everything else attached to it. We talked with Bob a little bit about this a year ago, and I think it's easiest just to make an agreement with him. I suggested to him that we sign a paper that says that this is the settlement, and that there's no further action that can be taken.
So if we add the $13,600, you get from him,
And the 5.
and the 5.2 comes to 18,602, we're gonna pay 21,000 for new docks, so we got new docks for,
So we got brand new docks
yeah,
for a couple $1,000.
and no lawyer fees.
That's fine with me. It's getting better and better.
Do we need to make a motion to accept his proposal for $13,600?
Motion by Sandy to accept the proposal from Scott from our, whatever it is, dock systems. Second by John, any further discussion on that?
13,600, is that what you said?
Yeah.
That includes half the cost of putting them in?
That I believe was half of the way.
Right.
We moved them in and out a couple times, well, so Wagner's pulled them out. Wagner's put them back in. Town of Alexandria pulled them out.
I mean, it's a bad deal, but we gotta get it over with.
It's a bad deal, if we can get within a couple $1,000 for new docks down there, I think we're getting close.
Yeah, lesson learned, we probably should have done that right from the start.
Yep. Yep.
It is what it is.
We had recommendations from 2 or 3 different sources to do what we did by people that had already done that.
Lesson learned.
Yep.
Styrofoam's not supposed to sink, right?
I mean, when I got the phone call 10 days after we put these brand refurbished docks in the water, when I got the phone call that sent a picture with it from the lady that lives right there, said the docks are sinking, I couldn't believe it. And I walked out I went there immediately and walked out on the dock, and my feet got wet because the dock went underwater. I turned around and ran off the dock.
So I think Virginia was pretty easy, to tell you the truth.
So, that's the deal.
Do you need a motion to accept the 13,600 offer?
Probably should. I think you ought to vary that figure if it's between 13,600 and 14,000. Motion?
How we do that.
Well
I already made
done,
the
1, 2,
I'm sorry, what?
I already made the motion, John
Okay.
seconded it.
done.
Okay.
And now we just had the discussion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. Okay. We went through those audits that, Bill Dasnaw did of all the departments and everything, and he is very, educated on all the comptroller's rules and regulations. So later on in this, in this agenda, I've added to the bottom, we can do it right now. We didn't do a resolution accepting the audits as reported. I reported to you on those audits at the last meeting. They're on the agenda, and Jesse has my report and her minutes that we've approved, but we didn't do a resolution. So I'm gonna ask that we do a resolution on those. The February 24th minutes right here.
Mr. Dashdown has had that opportunity to look at it.
Mr. Gagnon did that, and he also wrote a report. He provided us with the reports and the comments, and there was no, I read that stuff to you guys last time.
And he's
Yeah,
okay with everything.
yes.
Like you say, he's a pretty smart guy.
So I just need a resolution to accept the audits as were presented at the last meeting. Motion by Mike. Second. Second by John. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no.
Yeah, they need to clarify.
The other thing that, that we've learned is that, I need to put on the agenda we'll give the financial reports to everybody every month. Nicole makes the copies of the 3 different, reports. The balance sheet, the year-to-date profit and loss, and the monthly profit and loss. And that's just, what you see here for number 5. So I'm just, saying that you guys have got copies of all of those for your review. Moving to number 6, the Randall property transfer. We were waiting for we've got it, okay.
Got resolution for consideration tonight, authorizing the sale of town real property to them. You know, they were the high bidder. Okay. And these sales of real property to the town are subject to permissive referendum. So all this does is accept the bid and, you know, it's sealed. They were high. And then requires the town clerk to publish notice that it's subject to a permissive referendum, which I doubt very much that there'll be anybody submitting submitting a petition. But we've got to do it so we can give a deed to the property.
Okay, so this is resolution number 2, dated March 24th, 2021, authorizing the sale of 0.87 acre parcel of land to the highest sealed bidder, Ronald D. Randall and Judith Randall. Appropriate report, resolved that the town clerk shall publish appropriate notice of this resolution and the requirement that is subject to a permissive referendum, and that the town clerk make appropriate report to the town board of either the submission of a petition for a referendum or the passing of the time necessary for submission thereof, all in accordance with section 90 of New York Town Law. So I need a motion and a second and then a roll call vote.
This is a quick question. I noticed if you know, like on the 3rd paragraph down, it goes, whereas it appears from tax records of the town that Ronald E. Randall and Judith A. Randall have been paying real property taxes on the parcel for some time.
They had.
How could they be paying taxes on town property?
You're asking a question I can't answer. Well, here's the way that the town received title was just simply the state of New York just issued an order saying this is yours now.
Right.
I don't know that it ever really became in the consciousness of anybody in the town that we owned it. Everybody assumed it was the Randall's property. I think they assumed it was Randall's property. It was when they went to go sell the property that they realized, oops, we don't own that. Okay, so they were getting tax bills and they were paying tax bills on this 0.87 acre parcel.
That just seems unbelievable.
And they were using the land also. They were paying tax on it, but they were using it also.
Yeah, I don't think they thought anything of it. Neither did we.
Okay, I just
See, and we had to go back to see when we officially got the land, and that was very vague.
1937 or something like that.
Exactly.
So when they realigned Route, what is now Route 12?
They straightened out Route 12. What's now Route 12, that's right.
Yeah. So there was never any formal transfer from all the documents I saw of the land from the state of New York to the town of Alexandria.
Well, they don't give deeds, they just say, here you go, it just wasn't picked up on.
Yeah. Yep.
We're just trying to fix this so they can turn around and sell the property. That's what they're trying to do.
Okay, so I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sandy. I need a second. Second by Mike. Any further discussion? Your roll call vote.
Town Supervisor Brent Weed,
Yes.
Deputy Supervisor Sandy Caputo,
Yes.
Board Member John Stein,
Yes.
Board Member Michael Spia,
Yes.
Board Member Ron Thompson.
Yes.
Also to.
Motion passed.
Are we gonna change that to 3,000 or are we gonna keep that the same? It was bidded at 3,000.
Okay, the number 7 is the Perry Property Road 12 status, and we also have the next one, the Yellow House and Plessis status. I think they're both in the same status, aren't they, Norris? They both have been condemned. The signs have been posted that they're condemned. Certified letters have been sent. Were both of those certified letters returned?
Yep, every
Yeah.
one of them.
So they both were returned, nobody got them, and now we're handling it over to Bob, and where do we go from here?
I just got the envelopes tonight, so
Yep.
I will prepare, as we've done in the past, a notice of a resolution for the town board establishing a public hearing for the following meeting, that if they challenge it, they can come in and have a hearing on it. To
The
the,
biggest thing as far as the town's concerned, for both of these properties, is we would like to be able to get to the step as soon as possible that we can go and clean the outside of these properties. Especially the one on Route 12 that has got a pile of trash and rats and everything else that are in there that's on Route 12.
the main reason that we're following the protocol, so that you can add the cost of your taxes. If you're not concerned about that, go do the work, but, if we just did that, then the question the next following month, can we add this to their taxes?
Yeah.
The answer is not, unless you give them an opportunity for a hearing. That's why we're doing it this way.
Yeah.
Well, like Brent's saying, I mean, all winter long, this pile of trash, as bad as it is, probably not such a big deal, but now things are starting to warm up, there's gonna be problems.
And that pile of trash is growing also.
It's huge.
Yeah, it's growing, I mean, and it's not coming from that house, it's coming, somebody's putting trash there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, as far as where we go with these properties and through this process, Bob, I was contacted by some Perry relatives of the owner, and I think that they have possibly a desire to do something with the Perry house on Route 12. I think, the house is held up, or the property is held up either in probate or in court, or the owner died. And I think they're all trying to figure out how they can go about this, which can be a long process. And the reason I'm saying that is because when I got the phone call about it, they said something about us tearing it down, and I said, well, we haven't gone to that stage that we're gonna tear the thing down.
Right.
We're just trying to find out what we can do, and our biggest concern is the looks right now.
Well, that's why I asked at the last meeting whether we were proceeding under the health provision or whether we were proceeding under the unsafe buildings law, and I was told we were gonna do it under the unsafe buildings law, which is what we're following here. Okay, so, I mean, if it creates a danger to kids or whatever running around the trash or whatever, we can fit it within the unsafe buildings law. And, again, the purpose was so that we could add the cost of the cleanup to the tax bill on the property. So when they go to probate court, they can make sure that they pay that too.
So we had gotten permission to board it up.
That was my question. If you're gonna have an unsafe building, we've gotta board up the windows or the openings on the doors. Cause you take the Perry property on Route 12, the back door to Outer Street, and you can just walk right on in.
I agree, you gotta secure it.
And, so,
Or put a fencing around the whole thing, which is cheaper, I don't know. You put the orange plastic stuff up, and it's warning enough, probably.
Yeah, the part that bothers me about fencing is that we put one of those snow fences, or we put whatever all the way around that thing, and everybody who comes to Alex Bay is gonna see, it's gonna look awful, and who's to say that that's gonna stop that garbage from being thrown over the fence and added to that pile?
And the kids can
What
still go in.
kind of timeline are we looking at, again?
Well, at the next meeting, I just got the stuff tonight, so you'll be looking at a resolution next meeting, establishing a public hearing for them to come in and explain why, blah, blah, and then we've got to, as a result of that resolution, send them certified letters, and if, hopefully they're delivered, or deliverable, and if they are, there's an opportunity for a hearing. If they aren't deliverable, then we can probably just proceed.
Then we proceed, and what's the next step?
I'd have to look at the law,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
okay.
How many openings are there that we should seal up?
Well, both doors,
I mean, would 2 sheets of plywood and screws do that?
that's the way I'd do it.
Keep the kids out of it?
I don't really think there's any broken windows in it, but I'm not gonna say for sure.
You put a fence up, the kids will go through it anyways.
Yep. Well, I think, get some plywood and put over it, and I know plywood's expensive. I mean, 7/16 wafer board is about $35 a sheet now.
Cheaper than a lawsuit.
Huh?
Cheaper than a lawsuit, some kid gets hurt.
You're right there.
Well, then I'd say we wait till Bob get us ready to do what we can do at the next meeting.
Well, I mean, he can take action to secure the property without you taking action. He can do
We
that,
should be able to put plywood on there, and,
yeah.
I mean, Jamie did that to Jeanette's, put plywood on, right, Jamie?
Right.
Long before anything happened, just to secure so people wouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
Cause they were going in there.
So if you as codes officer think it's unsafe, you can either do it or, have it done without the hearing and all that.
I think that probably needs to be done as soon as possible, because the minister at the church told me that he knows they have a homeless person that they are helping out, and that homeless person has told him that he sleeps in that house sometimes. So,
Yep.
we'll put that in our plan, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Okay?
Now, the yellow house, that's the next one, the one in Plessis. As far as that one, the doors are all on, and I don't think they have any problem with people. I talked to Matt Williams about it, and, he says he hasn't seen anybody going in and out of there at all.
There's a couple lights on in that house.
There's lights on, yeah.
And I talked to the supervisor from National Grid about that, because if you go to the windows on the side of that house, you'll see the ceilings are all caved in, and there's wires and lights hanging from those ceilings and those lights are, one of those lights is on, that the wire is hanging down. So the people next door are very concerned about fire. So I went to the supervisor who I saw in town, and he was gonna look into it and get back to me, and he did not, but he very clearly told me they cannot turn anybody's power off. If the bill wasn't being paid, you'd think they'd turn it off. I don't know if because of COVID, they're not turning power off. He couldn't answer that question, but, he basically told me that the town or somebody else can't have somebody else's power turned off. So I don't know where to go with that. Yeah.
How close is, closest house?
I was just saying, can't you go outside on the box and just flip the switch?
Yeah.
And then the power goes off and
The
then,
house probably is as close as this building is this way.
I'm just saying if there was a fire, would it
But there's a nice
affect that other
garage
house?
there, in between the house and there.
I took a picture of the meter and the electrical on the outside of the house, and I showed it to the supervisor that I talked to. And the only basic thing that we got off of that was the meter number, so that he could look into it. There was no lever arm or anything on that outside of that box to turn it off.
Can we get arrested for pulling a meter?
he said, basically what he's saying is he can't do anything unless the owner or the person who's named that service is in direction.
Well, if you can find the fuse box,
Right, yeah.
throw the switch there.
Again, if you think it's unsafe, seems to me you can pull the meter. Okay,
I know that, but you can probably get in trouble for going in the house.
well,
Well, the meter's on the outside.
Meter's on the
you're on the outside,
Yeah, but
right?
he's talking about the fuse box.
No, I'm talking about the meter. If you think it's
Meter's on
unsafe,
the outside.
pull the meter.
Cut the clip, take the thing
All you
off,
do
pull
is
the meter out, throw all the weeds and take off.
Pull the meter right out.
Take off.
You can't do that. National Grid,
Well, you
National
can't do
Grid
that.
does that.
National Grid can't do that, but he can.
Yeah,
He has different responsibilities than National Grid. National Grid's supposed to keep your power on, he's supposed to keep the town safe. Different duties.
So he can do that.
yeah.
If he, I'll say it again, if he thinks it's unsafe,
Yep.
he can pull the meter.
Okay.
I just want the permission of the board before I do it, that's all.
You think it's unsafe?
Yes, I
Well,
do.
there we go.
I agree. And I got the same answer when I called National Grid, 3 months ago, back in the midwinter, when I first put the condemned notice on the place. And they told me the same thing, they couldn't pull the meter until the owner contacted them. Well, I can't get a hold of the owner, we don't acknowledge. The person that lived there died there.
Actually, both of these two houses, the person that the house's name is in has died.
Well, not the yellow house, 'cause that's in
Oh, okay,
another
yeah.
guy's name.
Yep.
I guess it's his stepfather or something, I found out. But,
I can't, if nobody's living in them, I can't imagine anybody would care if you pull the meter out.
no.
Okay. So do we wanna give Norris direction to pull them?
You don't need to, he's the codes
You do,
officer,
Okay.
I do.
okay?
I was gonna say, wouldn't wanna do that anyways, but, okay.
Do your
That's-
thing.
That's up to you, Norris.
I'll pull it.
Okay.
Don't get electrocuted.
Yeah, don't do that.
We pulled them before years ago, good many times, John.
Okay, so the next one is number 9. I'm a little bit unclear about this. I think I mentioned some stuff. I sent some emails to all of you. Does anybody have any knowledge of this process of hiring them well, not hiring them, but asking for a study? And the first $100,000? The first $100,000 is funded by the federal government, costs above $100,000 are shared 50% federal and 50% non-federal.
Well, first things first, we don't have a real good sense about how much this is gonna cost.
No,
Like that, I think that's kind of important, because if it ends up being over 100,000, we're on the hook for some money.
well, that's why I brought up what I just said, because that sounds to me like that means we're on the hook for that. I wasn't sure how to interpret this. I've attached a draft letter of the Corps requesting an evaluation of the potential outflow from the north end of Goose Bay. I've included all the boilerplate of the sample letter, so they know that what we know about the financial responsibilities of all parties. I would appreciate a preliminary study will be much less than $100K. The major field effort should be surveying, running a level line from the bay through the McSherry track and across Route 12 to Crooked Creek. Anything else should be office work, and we could help with reference materials already obtained. An important point is that we can opt out of the whole effort before any financial commitment is incurred. I believe that, I briefed Jake Tibbles about this several years ago, showing him maps, imagery, and the highway construction plans. He was quite supportive of the idea at that time. If it comes to moving dirt and building bridges, I would certainly want it done in a way that enhances and not degrades the lands till it is maintaining. So this is, what this is about, is having a survey done by the federal government of Goose Bay and of connecting Goose Bay to whatever that water area is below Goose Bay.
Talking about connecting it to Crooked Creek, I believe, which will go into Chippewa.
Yeah.
So they're, from what I read, it used to empty into Crooked Creek
Yeah,
a long time ago?
they said that, he said they have proof, and they've done a bunch of work, and when I say they, this is the Goose Bay Association. I mean, I would think we would want some verification, and we would talk, we'd wanna talk with the federal people about this before we even
What is
think.
the advantage to the town of Alexandria to do this?
Lot healthier Goose Bay.
Okay,
Same deal we're dealing with in Swan Bay.
okay, I'm just
And a couple
asking.
bays. That's, the biggest advantage is having it flow through water.
Okay, I'm just asking, but,
Yeah,
you know, it's like anything else, you know, it's good to have a reason for doing it.
yeah.
And then who makes the decision as far as the people that live in Chippewa Bay about dealing with what's coming out of Goose Bay?
They got something different.
I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but I mean, it'd be different.
So you ran into the same issue with Swan Bay and, had a lot of discussions with the DEC on opening up, St. Lawrence Park Road because of the supposed culvert that we couldn't find. The only evidence we found was an old subdivision map that there was a depiction of maybe a bridge, but, couldn't really determine there was ever a pipe in there, even though some people claimed it was. So we went to the DEC because, again, water quality issues, and, you know, the very first thing out of their mouth was, well, all this sediment is gonna end up, you know, at Point Vivian, in that, all that musky spawning area that they improved years ago, so they had concerns, and, they didn't say you couldn't do it, but they wanted a lot more dialogue and a lot more information, hydrologic studies, basically where you model the river and have to determine how that flow, you'd have to try to predict how that flow would impact the people downstream, to your point, Ron. So it's a big process, and we really haven't taken it any further, Swan Bay, because of that. I'm sure it's gonna come up, especially if there are low water levels. The sediment load is a bigger deal, obviously, because those bays are shallow at the downstream end of them. So I suggest you do some more investigation with the Army Corps and the DEC to try to find more out about the program. I wasn't aware of this Army Corps program. This is the first I've heard of it. So it could be applicable to Swan Bay. Maybe it's for real, and maybe you could get the 50% funded another way. You know, if the feds are gonna give you 50%, maybe the state will help, or there's some other water quality fund that you could draw money out of. So I don't think it's a bad idea to investigate it, and try to find out more about it. I think, to your point, Brent, you gotta find out your commitment, financial commitment, because it's a big deal to do these hydrologic evaluations. Anyway, that's my advice. I wouldn't poo-poo it, but I would do some more investigation.
Yeah. Well, if everybody's okay, then, I'll work with Rob and we'll contact these people, and it would be nice to have a conference call or a Zoom call with whoever's involved or in charge of this process, and try to ask some questions and learn. Because we did have a lot of discussion about Swan Bay for a while, and it definitely is a need for something similar there, which is a lot simpler project than this project.
This project, they're talking about going underneath Route 12, right?
I thought it would be underneath Kings Point Road.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I looked at a map, and in order to get to Crooked Creek, you gotta go get the other side of Route 12.
Wow. That's a whole different animal.
Well, I shouldn't say that, because Crooked Creek does go underneath Route
That's
12.
what I was thinking,
That's true.
Spring Point, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Because you can see where it looks like a creek on the lower end of Goose Bay, and then it kind of eventually goes into like marsh, and there's not enough water there to be able to see any kind of.
I've driven down the Indian Point Road quite a bit, which, if you know where that is, that's right off of 12. And as you drive down that Indian Point Road, there's water and marshes all the way down through there that go all the way to Crooked Creek.
They empty
So they would probably connect that foot of Goose Bay to that water area that I'm talking about. That's 100 yards on the other side of Crings Point Road.
So that empties into Crooked Creek on the riverside
Yep.
of Route 12.
Yep.
Okay.
And also, where Megan's property is, their property's right on the river.
Right.
So you're not, I mean, it's a little ways to the river, not Crooked Creek, it's a little ways to the river, but you could still go to the river that way too. But it will be a major project, so if the board agrees, we'll just, Rob and I will pursue that and try to get some information out of the federal and the state people. Okay?
Yep.
The next item I have, Denville McKee Communication Conference Call, that needs to be in executive session, that's about litigation. 11th one is the rink update. Do you have any report on that?
Well, I don't have a written report other than to say a couple things. About a week ago, well, we originally were gonna, close the rink, start taking the ice out. I think, what was it? March.
Sunday was gonna be the last day of
March
operation, we're gonna start
22nd or-
taking the ice out
Right.
a couple days later.
Well, we were contacted, Ronnie was anyways, by some minor hockey, high school hockey, whatever.
Minor hockey.
And seeking to having us extend our season so they could have more games, because the schedule has opened up, the governor's office allowed, in the county, I guess, allowing more things than they previously did. So we talked about it, and we contacted them, and if they guaranteed us a minimum number of hours in a check.
Dollars.
Right, which they said, okay. So we have extended our rink schedule to April 9th. And, okay, there's that, so also, as far as rink update is, in Jay's sewer report, it'll mention as well, is, gonna do some, repair work on the Zamboni.
Yeah.
Some bearing work. with the
Yeah,
blades
and
stuff.
actually Jay's sent me a couple of reports, cause he sends me daily reports, and
So,
they had a main bearing go in the Zamboni, and Jay and Jamie went and pulled that bearing out, and in order to have the press and the proper tools to replace that bearing, I think Jay volunteered his shop and his welder and his equipment, and you guys took a town truck and the equipment and the bearing and what they had to work on to Jay's shop. You worked on it at Jay's shop for how long?
No, probably half an hour.
Yeah, and they replaced the bearing. I took pictures of what they did and sent me the pictures, and they replaced the bearing, and the Zamboni's running great.
the other issue that we have is, like the day before yesterday, the brine pump that was replaced back in October.
Rebuilt
Rather, okay, stopped working. And, Jerry called up, Davis Mechanical, and they got up here right away, have installed a temporary replacement one. We've had a couple hookup on it, where it ran for a while, then stopped, now I guess it's back running again. We had to cancel 2 days worth of skating, but I guess we're back, we have good ice again. So, the only other question that's kinda out there is whether that brine pump that got rebuilt has any kind of warranty to it, because it was only October, it wasn't that long ago.
Yeah. So I'll have to touch base with Chris, the owner of Davis Mechanical, to pursue that. I did talk to the work service guys yesterday, and they said that they had hoped and thought that it would be warranted, but they were just the service guys working on it. It had just been installed in October, so. Other than that,
We got this guaranteed ice rental. I've spoken to Jerry a number of times. He's put the word out that we're gonna have ice, so hopefully we might have a few other people decide they wanna,
He's picked up a couple more rentals.
you know, I would think, you know, if I was still playing, you know, I could get another week or two before I have to hang them up, I would do it.
Yep. Okay. Number 12, Anderson out-of-district sewer user agreement.
So now we have, in order to have outside users, we have to amend two ordinances. One is our use ordinance and one is our user charge ordinance. And then, also attached to these is a resolution that, sets public hearings in connection with the ordinances.
Now, does this refer to any district or just a specific district?
This is the Redwood Sewer Use District.
Oh, just the Redwood, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just the sewer, okay, not the water at all, okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. So again, it amends the Redwood Sewer Use Ordinance and it amends the Redwood Sewer Charge Ordinance. The issue came up, well, should it be 20% more or whatever? That's a number that I inserted. That's the purpose of a public hearing. If after the public hearing you want to do something different, that's fine. That's what it's for. My thought was that those who haven't used the district for the last 20 years, coming up on 30 years,
30.
ought to maybe try to have a little catch-up on their capital and O&M costs that everybody else has been paying. So if they're outside the district, maybe they ought to pay an extra 20% on their EDU so that, you know, they pay a little more. That was just my thinking. After your public hearing, you can do whatever you want, but that was my thinking.
Rob, you're familiar with these things, what do you?
It's customary for, I say customary, it's not uncommon to have a connection fee, for a new user, along the same lines Bob just said, there's catch up, you know, these people basically pay for the system and to have somebody come in and start paying just the same basic rate as everybody else isn't really fair, you know, because everybody else is paying. So, most of the time, that's done with a one-time hookup fee. And that's apart and different than a connection, you know, a hookup fee, a connection fee. One covers the cost of the connection, Jamie's time, that sort of thing, you know, the physical cost of it. But one fee is so they can play catch-up. And that's up to you.
Right.
What you think that.
And this is designed, if we were to have a hookup fee or whatever, that can be part of your contract. Okay, so the ordinance authorizes you to enter into contracts with people to be an outside user. So you can take care of those fees in your contracts, so you can amend them from time to time without having to amend your user charge ordinance every time you decide you want to charge a different rate.
There's certainly a value to this connection, I mean, because without this connection, you know, number one, could they even put an on-site septic in? Probably not. You know, that's why they came to you, because of the soils and the rock and the size of the lot just prohibits them. So there's certainly a value to the property owner, and usually you get no resistance in charging a hookup fee, because even if it's several $1,000s, it's cheaper than a $20,000 septic field. They're up to it. Right. So I wouldn't be shy about it.
My 2 cents anyways, definitely, you know, the Johnny-come-lately concept, I mean, you gotta address that. I mean, this thing's been in place since 1992, users have been paying off the debt, somebody comes in later on, you know, gets, I don't wanna say a free ride, but a bit of it, but I'm just, the 20%, I just think that, you know, becomes, how we charge for sewer is based on EDUs, and there's no percentage in there for any customer at all. It's all something EDU. So
right.
I would suggest, and it's close to the 20, what you're talking about is just add a quarter EDU for anybody new coming in. And then what it makes sense that way too is, okay, if it's just a single family dwelling, instead of it being 1 EDU, it'd be 1.25. If it's an apartment, instead of being 0.75, it'd be 1. You just add a quarter. And then how you can take it the next step further, then like how we do our charges anyways, we total up the number of EDUs, and this would be an easy way to do that, instead of 20%, it's a total number of EDUs, and then you got the, operating costs, O&M, you know, and then divide one into the other, and then you get the charge per EDU.
Great discussion for a public hearing, but.
Right, but I'm just saying that, I think it would be a mechanically easier way to go about it.
Yep. Do you need a motion to get this started?
We just need to introduce each of the ordinances, and then also introduce the resolution that calls for the public hearings at the next meeting.
Taking the next step further, our current rate of $650 a year, a quarter EDU, works out to $162.50, $40, $41 a quarter. So that's what it basically is right now.
So we basically have three steps to this procedure, or three parts to it. One, as Bob already explained, is amending the Redwood Sewer Use Ordinance to allow outside users. Number two is amending the Redwood Sewer District User Charge Ordinance as applicable to properties not located within the district. And the third one is establishing public hearings in connection with amendment to the Town of Alexandria Redwood Sewer District Use Ordinance and Redwood Sewer District User Charge Ordinance, allowing outside users and establishing rates to be charged outside users. So there's three parts to that. The first part is ordinance number 1 of 2021 for the Town of Alexandria, amending the Redwood Sewer Use Ordinance to allow outside users by contract. I need a motion to do that. Motion by Ron, need a second. Second by Mike. I need a roll call vote.
No, you're not voting on it now, you're just introducing it. You're not voting on it tonight, you're just introducing it.
Okay.
This just gets the ball rolling, right?
Right, you can't vote on it until after your public hearing.
We can still hash over the.
So now we go on to the second one.
Yes. Yep.
The second one, amending the Redwood Sewer District User Charge Ordinance as applicable.
Don't we have to vote on introducing it?
No, it's just introduced and seconded.
It's just consent? I mean, unanimous consent? I mean,
You can't vote on it until after you've held a public hearing. What you've introduced and seconded is an ordinance that would allow outside users. You don't know whether you're gonna allow it until after you've had a public hearing on whether you should allow it.
so motion's on the table, whatever.
So
It's the ordinance has been introduced, and the ordinance has been seconded. Now you move on to the next ordinance.
Gotcha.
Okay, amending the Redwood Sewer District User Charge Ordinance as applicable to the properties not located within the district boundaries. So we need a motion and a second to introduce it. Motion by John and a second by Sandy. No discussion, right?
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
Down.
And the last one is to introduce establishing public hearing.
Well, there's a third one.
That's what he's doing right now, third, right?
We're doing the third one.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And we don't take a vote on it, correct?
Yes, you do. This is the third one you do.
Establishing public hearings in connection with amendments to the Town of Alexandria Redwood Sewer District Sewer Use Ordinance and Redwood Sewer District User Charge Ordinance, allowing outside users and establishing rates to be charged outside users. Need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mike, second by Ron. And this one, we're gonna do a roll call vote, or
Discussion?
we're gonna have discussion
And
first.
apologies to Sandy for misidentifying.
Any
Yes.
discussion? Roll call vote,
Town Supervisor Brent Sweet,
yes.
Deputy Supervisor Sandy Caputo,
Yes.
Board Member John Stein,
Yes.
Board Member Mike Bayat,
Yes.
Board Member Ron Thompson.
Yes.
If we're gonna establish this public hearing, do we have to do a date?
It was April 28th, isn't it?
It's 28 days?
Yes. So we'll have
One's
to
at
publish,
one's at 6 and one's at 6:15.
Okay, all right.
Public hearing April 28th at 6:15. Consider ordinance number 2 of 2021.
Okay.
Okay?
So that's gonna be put in the paper and all that stuff.
yes.
Okay?
Status of Route 12 Sewer District number 2, is that the formal name, is that what we're set on, District number 2, is
District 2.
expansion's not in there?
No, I double checked.
Okay,
When Joe did the district formation, we renamed,
Yeah.
remember there was confusion whether it was an extension or not.
cause Nicole and I have got papers that say, some say one of each.
Yeah,
So
I think I emailed you the final order of the board, right?
Yeah.
But the district boundaries are the same as what they were before.
Yeah, the district the service area is the district boundary.
So it's not an expansion, it's just building it out.
That's correct, yeah. So there's the original district, and there was an extension to that district, back in whenever we did the original project, and so this is District 2. There's no extension is the way I understand it. We can clarify it with Joe if you want to, but.
So, you've mailed out, what is it, 40 some odd easements?
Yeah, the easements have all been mailed out, and we're starting to get phone calls.
We've got three easements back here.
Yep.
Do you have any easements?
No.
No. And we've gotten a couple phone calls.
Yeah, and probably what we're gonna wanna do, Brent, in the next couple of weeks is start a little phone campaign, start calling a few people every week. I got a call today to meet with somebody, down on Route 12. A lot of people are gonna wanna meet, but that's fine. But we're probably gonna have to make phone calls. Cause it sits on their desk, right, or in their mail pile, and they don't have to do anything with it,
So, we need to get, the critical easements, or the percentage of the critical easements,
You need to get all the critical mainline easements.
which there's quite a few of them.
Yeah, yeah, so, if the easement's just for a lateral into somebody's house, we don't need that to go to bid. We can put the pipe in and go right by, and if they don't sign the easement for the connection, we just don't service them, right? They don't give us permission. Well, we can't go to bid until all the main lines are done, and council has to certify that we have title for those main lines.
But when you do these, I'm hearing some stuff that makes me think about the situation we already have in some other districts. When you did this formation, and they did a bunch of stuff, they came up with a cost per EDU. So if we don't get an easement for a house that we thought we were gonna get an EDU out of, now we have a different number of EDUs.
I'm not gonna answer that question,
Well,
because I don't know.
Well, I just see it.
If they're in the district, then they're benefited, so in the past, they could be charged the benefit assessment. And so, because you have to balance your books, you have to have so much revenue to pay off your debt. So if they choose not to tap in, that's their choice. They don't get charged the O&M, but they still are benefited by that. So I charge them the debt service portion, but Bob, you can handle that one.
Well, we've been told by the state comptroller that, if you're not hooked up, you have two choices, basically. You have either an ad valorem tax or you have a benefit assessment. But if it's not in your original ordinance.
Oh, the formation document.
If it's not in the formation documents, and if you don't impose it at the time that you start the district, you can't do it.
So, I will tell you, there's a little hiccup with this particular district that we can chat about later, but, so, there's a house, can't remember whose it is. It's right at the end of the old district, not this new one, that didn't get served because, there weren't funds to service them, and he hasn't been charged anything. We wanna pick him up in this project, right, because the pipe's gonna go by and he wants to be in it, but he's in the old district. One of the USDA comments was, well, you can't spend money to service somebody outside of this district. And what USDA suggests is maybe we should amend the district to include him. So if we reform the district to include this person, we would have the chance then to redo the district formation documents.
Correct.
Maybe properly formulate them to meet the current.
Right.
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Right.
So I haven't, it just came to light this week, and I haven't really had a chance to talk to anybody about it. So we may be reforming those districts.
At that time, and that would be great, could we do an ad valorem in that?
I don't see why not.
For everything I know, you could.
Because we've gone down this path and it's not good.
No.
No. Well, as you know, one of the suggestions of the comptroller was to consider collapsing our districts and starting over again, but what a nightmare.
Right. Right. But this, we have an
But
opportunity.
this is an opportunity. yes.
This might be, I think we need to
Yeah.
I'll review the details with Bob,
Okay.
but, yeah. The only little twist is, you know, the user charge scenarios across all three towns are similar by design, right? Because the committee gets together and convinces on the budget and what the user cost would be every year. So if all of a sudden we have one section here that's got a district formation structure that's different with respect to user charges, I don't know how we handle that with the remaining partners in the system,
Well,
which are the town of Clayton and the town of Orleans.
We
so.
can't do a wrong thing just because everybody else is doing it.
I understand that, I'm just saying, that's a consideration when we go through this. Because the IMA might have to be amended as such, and I saw a whole bunch of emails about that today, the IMA, that something going on there too, with the town of
But
Clayton.
as everybody here knows, we've run into this formation document issue that tends to govern everything we do. So it would make a lot of sense to make sure we got this one right.
So with your permission, I'll get to Bob here in the next couple of weeks and we'll go through it.
Okay. Everybody okay with that?
No, I'd be super happy. And then, we can kinda use this as a little bit of a, I don't wanna say science experiment, but a learning thing, because we have other problems.
Okay. Okay, number 14 is the Daru EDU change in Redwood, and that was previously the Henderson property that had a duplex house and an apartment behind it, and they were getting billed, because it was a duplex house, .75 and .75 for the two units in the house, and .75 for the apartment behind it. They've come to us with a bunch of letters and a bunch of information about the work they're doing. They're changing the duplex house to a single residence, and they're changing the apartment out back to a garage, shop, right, Amy? And what they had asked us is how would that change the EDUs? And what we explained to them is after they went through the proper procedures and had the proper paperwork and everything, that we would build a house as a single-family residence after they got the paperwork completed. So that would be one EDU, and out back, I think, was going to be 0.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah, well, talking with Mike today, I mean, you still got the pipe that runs into the.
They have to totally take the plumbing and the sewer and water plumbing out of there, right?
Right. I mean, I've been in there and took pictures, and they've gutted the place, but.
So it's more than just taking the toilet out, as long as that sewer line.
No, the piping, we're talking about the piping.
I know, from that pot to that building can't be there.
You know, the copper's still in the walls, and the hot water heater was there, and, you know, that's all gotta be
I think
taken out.
where are we at if they got plumbing in the walls? If they take the plumbing from the house to the pot out, is there an issue with the plumbing that's in the walls?
They can leave it in the house,
Yeah.
it's kinda dumb to leave it there, but as long as there's no connection to the pot, that's all that really matters, right?
And the water. Well, no, we're just talking about sewer, okay.
We're just talking about sewer.
Yep.
Do they
Now-
have 2 sewer pots?
No, just once. Now, where this,
And I'm not 100% sure that line's hooked to the sewer pot either.
The line that goes to the apartment out back
Yeah.
might go the other way to the creek.
okay, well, that's
It's
another,
a possibility.
that's another different, that's a whole different can of worms. But this is where, and the way the ordinances are written, at a minimum of once a year, we're supposed to go through and make sure that the EDUs and obviously the sewer rates are what they should be, so the district stays in the black. So if we're gonna go from 2.25 to 1, there's 1.25 EDUs at $650 plus about $1,000 a year that will get redistributed throughout the district if it needs to be. So, these decisions aren't just to affect a single property, it affects everybody in the district.
Well, as far as the decision is concerned, the decision should be based on what our regulations are and rules, and our rules are, as Mike is saying, that has to be completely disconnected. So if they get their proper permits and do the proper disconnection that we're talking about, then they would only be charged one EDU, is that right? If everything else was done right.
Yep, that's pretty much it.
So,
We'll have to investigate that a little bit more.
so you're gonna have to, we're gonna have to tell them about the plumbing, the stuff that has to be removed. Where's the sewer pot?
It's, out beside the red house.
How far from the apartment?
No, probably 75 feet.
Yeah.
I'm just where the toilet's located in the, old apartment, it might even be lower than the sewer pot, so that's why I'm thinking that might not even be hooked up.
It would seem to me if you open up that sewer pot and looked in it, if there's no pipe that goes over there, then
Right.
probably not.
Well, I'm thinking we'll go down there with a 5-gallon pail of water and dump it down the hole. And if it comes to the sewer pot.
Like I'm just saying, you would see,
You see it come in though, like you're saying, there'd be a pipe going
there
out.
would be a pipe going
It's
out.
wide in.
You can't see that in the sewer pot, can you?
Okay, okay,
What's
You
that?
couldn't see that pot, so that'd have to be hooked in outside.
okay, yeah, you're right, you're right.
I would say, have the owner dig it up, somebody go verify what happened, that's it.
So as far as where we're at right now, we know we can't do anything with the building out back, cause it's still got plumbing attached to it, okay, and they're gonna have to,
I mean, it's been disconnected in the cellar, but the line still runs over to the building, so, it could be hooked back up without us knowing it.
so our feeling and do we have rules that tell us that piping has to be removed to the sewer pot?
There's, I can't say for sure, but I'm sure there's some kind of language that talks about disconnection. I don't know how explicit it is. But just taking the toilet out doesn't change the fact that the plumbing is still there, just like you said, they could hook it up at any time and, not to our knowledge.
Again, I would say have it up to them to dig it up, see the line, call Jay, anybody, here it is, we cut it off, we capped it,
Okay?
right?
Yeah.
It'd be outside
If
too.
we don't have that verbiage in our ordinance, Bob, that line has to be removed, I mean, we can make that decision right here that that's what we feel, that line's gotta be removed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Now, like you're saying, there's probably a Y. If they went down to that Y, took the Y out, connected the house right to the pot, that'd be the end.
We wanna see it when it gets done.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's how we're gonna handle the apartment out back. Now, as far as the house was 2 units, it's now, you went in and inspected it, and it's 1 unit?
No, it's gutted right now. I
Is
took
it-
it,
are there-
they left the bathroom upstairs was still intact, but the rest of the house is all but,
Well, it's a second kitchen.
How about 2 kitchens?
just the one no kitchens right now, there's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, okay. How do we handle that as far as them going from 1.5, which is 2 times the 0.75s to 1? When can we do that?
I would think that, I mean, we'd have to wait till they finish the house, cause we don't know what they're gonna do inside there. I mean, unless they do a permit through Norris saying that this is what we're gonna do, and then if they do something different, then we can go after them.
Because that's their concern right now. They've gone in there, we told them that, we told them what the ruling and regulation is for 1 EDU and for 0.75 times 2. So now they've gutted the house, they've removed all that, and they wanna know when they can go back to being, or not go back, but start being charged 1 EDU.
Well, I've spoken to Norris, they don't necessarily get a permit from the town for that work, right? But they could get a permit from the county, correct?
Well, I don't know how, I don't think the county, if they do, they don't, look into it, let's put it that way, the county.
Well, no, I'm driving at it, if they got a permit from the county that says, we're gonna convert this house from 2 dwelling units to 1, that would seem to me that that would be a great thing to show to us, and they would say, okay, it's 1,
Yeah.
right? Boom, done.
Yeah, then all of these be
How does that-
a letter from the county.
How does that differ in
But I
weight
don't
from
know if
our
we'll get 'em to do it,
water or
that's all.
sewer guy inspecting it and taking pictures? I
Because
mean,
that's not the role of our water and sewer guy.
okay. So I'm still not sure where we go here, how we do this. Norris, you're saying that going to the county isn't a normal practice for such a situation?
I've never heard of anything, I've never run into that, okay?
Yeah,
And I mean, as far as us getting a permit from us, they aren't doing anything changing the conformity of the house on the outside.
Are they paying the bills now?
yes.
So I would say, tell them as soon as they get it converted to 1, we wanna come in and see it. That's what it is.
As soon as he what?
As long as they convert the 2 to 1.
But my question is what is the determining factor of converting from 2 to 1?
Somebody go in there and look at it, right?
Was there 2 meters before? 2 water meters?
No, just 1.
No, but,
So, we're actually just the sewer is what they're paying
right,
on.
but what we're talking about too is, I don't know how fast these people are doing this work. It could take them some time, but I'm sure they would like it sooner rather than
I
later.
would say let them keep paying for what they're paying for until it's done, or when they get it converted, then call us. Until then, they're gonna pay for the 2.5.
We're not. And I understand what you're saying about the county, this is kind of unusual, but they're, what they're doing, and then how, how it affects other things other than just remodeling their house. They're changing the number of EDUs for the house, which is unrelated to a building permit, really, but you can kind of use that to show what you're ultimately gonna have. And it may take a while for you to get there.
They're doing this work themselves, and they're doing it very slow, as John has said. They're not using the house. The house is gutted, pretty much, and they'd like to go to 1 EDU as soon as
They'll move a
possible,
little faster then.
because it's cost them X amount of dollars every month.
No,
I think late summer, fall, when they first approached us, we said they needed to do a grievance letter and then show us and tell us.
Yep.
They've done that, Jamie's been there, they've gutted it out, they've got the other kitchen out. They're telling us, to me, they've met what they need to. They shouldn't be punished because our ordinances and rules are not clear and suck. They need to go to 1, effective now, and I'd like to make that motion. And then when they complete the project, have Jamie go back in and inspect, to make sure that, yes, they did do what they said they were gonna do. But they have made every attempt to comply, and they shouldn't be, I mean, they're not using anything right now. And I understand what Mike says, but that's why you're supposed to have a budget every year to redo this. And in the big picture, I don't think it's gonna make a huge difference to the district overall, but to these people, it's a lot. To anybody, it's a lot when you're going, paying double what you should be, and it's not even being used at this time, and they wanna be able to take their time. I'll make a motion that we take it down to 1 EDU effective now, and they have to get with Jamie when they are done to confirm that, yes, indeed, they did make it into a single-family home. If they didn't, and they decided to make it into 2 apartments or whatever, then we can go back up. That's my motion.
So we've got a motion by Sandy.
Okay, let's expand on that a little bit. Can I
Wait,
take
Can I get a second?
Well,
Got a second from Ronnie.
Thank you.
Now we
Ron.
have discussion.
okay, I'm not opposed to that, but before we do that, they have to take the connection out to the garage. That they have to do.
Aren't you just talking about the house, Sandy?
I'm talking about the house.
And you were talking about leaving the .75 at the garage till they meet our requirements of taking the pipe out to the sewer pot.
Correct.
Right.
So they would be charged 1.75.
At this
Okay, not
point in
one.
time.
She's talking about the house.
I know, but the
Yeah,
overall
we're-
charge is going from 2.25 to
To
1.75.
1.75, the one being the house, and when they disconnect that pipe and show that the pipe has been disconnected, then we'll go to one completely, but for now, until that other pipe is disconnected, 1.75.
Okay,
Sorry, I should have been more clear.
okay.
So that's my motion.
So I got a motion by Sandy, a second by Ronnie. Any more discussion?
When are we gonna start this?
Effective
We got a
now.
bill that goes out in a week, so
Okay, so,
her motion was effective now.
well, how about we do it effective at the beginning of the quarter, because you're saying it's another week, that's what I'm driving at.
Yeah.
Right,
Why do something in between?
Yeah.
right.
And as soon as they dig up the line running out back, they'll lose a .75, or whatever it is.
Yep.
They'll probably dig that up quite fast, I would.
Yep.
Nothing to it.
I would.
Yeah.
Okay. Agreed.
Now, my question is, the bills
Well,
are going out.
We just did the motion and second, we gonna vote on that?
I got discussion.
Okay,
He's got a question.
okay, I thought we were done with that, but anyway, go ahead.
Just to clear something up here. The bill is going out the first week in April. The bill that's going out the first week in April is for the past 3 months. So for the past 3 months, and on that bill, they're gonna be billed the same rate, and our change doesn't take effect till the first day of the new quarter. Am I right?
That's the way the billing works.
They should be happy with that, I would think.
Yeah, but the problem is, I mean, I don't mean to say a problem, but just so we're clear here, their bill that they're gonna get in April is gonna be the same rate and same fee that they've always got.
But going forward, it'll be different.
Yes,
Right.
which we'll need to explain. I just wanted to make sure that we were all in agreement on that. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None.
Should there be a letter sent to them telling them what we want?
I was gonna say, get with me tomorrow and we need to write an email to them and tell them what this whole deal is, so that, I mean, they are getting some relief, but the relief will not be shown until starting at our next billing period. Okay, number 15. I get the amount mixed up every now and then. I think it was 430,000. Anybody read that deal for Town of Alexandria, what we got coming?
It was either 430 or 460,
Okay.
it was 4 something.
And I sent everybody a deal today that wasn't very helpful, that showed what people are trying to do with this money. They haven't given any great, explanations of what can be done with this money. But I'd just like everybody to start thinking about it a little bit. A couple of the proposals that I have, and we don't know if they fit into within the guidelines, is, for quite a few years, I've had a tremendous, a lot of requests and a desire by people in Redwood to have one sidewalk going down from 192 to the end of Redwood. Now it's up and down and all around, and there is sorts of a sidewalk, but that was,
It's on one side or both sides?
it's on one side. I think it's on one side. Sidewalk in front of your place, right, Sandy?
Not really, not much of one, no.
No.
I thought there was sidewalk on the other side.
Well,
It's sporadic on both sides.
Put it this way, I know
Okay.
there's a sidewalk from the post office to the old bank, and maybe a little further, which is a good part of the road.
It would be nice, now,
Yeah.
okay, I've done this for a living now, give me sidewalk next to the road?
as far as right next to it, I'm not sure. This is
Then
a
you're gonna
state
have-
road.
Yeah, so then you're gonna have to have curb,
They aren't that
then you're gonna have
close to
curb, and then, once you have a curb, you're gonna have to have a drainage system, because now the water, instead of being able to get off the road, it's gonna be stuck in the road.
Yep.
There are sidewalks now, aren't there?
But if you have a sidewalk that's away
There is
from
in
the
front
road,
of Crossroads.
Yeah, away from the road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're not close to the highway.
it would be great,
They're
I'm not
not
saying
close
no,
to
but I
the
mean, there's other things that come into play.
Yeah,
Well, like trees that are growing.
so,
So we should get some quotes, maybe if we wanna get an idea what we're talking for money
yeah.
on this stuff. I mean, $460,000 doesn't last long.
I mean, Rob, you probably know a figure in your head per square foot of a sidewalk.
Probably somewhat, how much quantity? A large quantity?
Fairly large. I don't know about a mile, but
I mean,
half a mile
I was gonna
anyways.
say, I don't have a distance, it's probably not quite a mile, probably half a mile.
Probably have, I would say, that's what I said.
So it's a lot, then, just 5-foot standard sidewalk, I don't know, probably somewhere in the $10 square foot, $10 to $12 a square foot range.
Yeah.
I mean, with quantity, maybe it's less, I don't know.
Yeah.
How much prep work, you gotta take the old sidewalk out,
Yeah.
of course, you could do that yourself.
And, my other two thoughts are three thoughts are the playgrounds in Redwood and Plessis both need a bunch of work. I was at the Redwood one last week, walked all around and all through it and all that, and it needs a lot of work. And, Plessis, I was at that one last fall when I had to tape it off for the third time, cause the neighbors were complaining about kids not social distancing, and there's not much over there either. And then we all talked about paving of roads, so just some ideas to start with here, and everybody, think about this and watch the news to see what they're gonna let us work on and what they're not gonna let us work on. This next one, number 16, got an email from a guy in Goose Bay. If you drive down to Goose Bay and you go by our parking lot and you come to the road that comes in from the right, it's where, I think, Gene Snow was down there, I think the Fulton property was down there, the Danny Hale's down the end of it, okay? That road that goes down through there, you have a bunch of properties on the riverside that, might be 10 different houses, camps, so on. And a couple of those people are interested in buying some land from the town that is across that road, because the town owns I think it was 17 acres that we bought years ago, that is the parking lot parcel. So they'd like to buy some land there. I think probably what spurred that is they have no place to put their boat trailers. And since the supervisor goes to the Goose Bay parking lot every week and puts tickets on their boat trailers now, like I did last summer, they, wanna have a place to put their boat trailers.
Stuff's gonna be bid, doesn't it?
Well, yes, you don't have a provision of any of your local laws that allow you to have a private sale, so you'd have to offer it for public bid. And you'd have to go through what we just did, as far as, you know, having it subject to, a permissive referendum.
Yeah.
So if somebody that didn't get it, the public bid might then put in something requiring permissive referendum and to kill it that way, who knows? This isn't waterfront property, correct?
No.
Well,
This is the
I like
same
the
as
Randall property.
Right?
I'm sorry?
Be the same thing as the Randall property, same deal?
Same thing. Yeah.
Well, the Randall properties, the dimensions of the Randall property are dictated by the state,
We're just
the
saying
town,
as far as selling it.
This is, we would be creating a lot,
You'd have to subdivide it 10 times.
so
This is
we would have to comply with zoning while we're creating these lots, right?
Yeah, that was one of the things that I wanted to ask you, Norris, is what size lot could you sell over there? And it's got the road in between it, so does the acreage of their house get added to, if they buy that, to acreage, or? And the reason I'm saying this is because that land down there is probably not very useful to the town of Alexandria. We've had a talk about this, we looked at this a little bit. You might get all those people down through there that might wanna chip in or put together a plan and buy 300 feet of that land or 500 feet of that land times 50 feet deep or times whatever would be the requirement that you would tell us so that they're within our zoning regulations.
Well,
And then we would put that property up for sale and do it through the procedure that we've always have had to do with every piece of property. And we're not gonna get into the developing, we're not gonna get into the subdivision, we're not gonna get into property lines, anything. Just sell a piece of property that's 500 feet by 50 feet.
that, cause if you do it with 50 by 50, you're gonna have to go through a subdivision, that's all there is to it. You know, for each individual lot. But if one person, say one, or a group, they form some sort of a group, then they'd have to come back and it would be up to them to do a subdivision.
I mean, if the town board doesn't wanna get into doing this and thinks that we're crazy to get into this, then just tell me that. I know that area, I know that situation they have down there, and that distance between the road and the water is not large of a distance. And there's a bunch of camps down there that get used very steadily, and this might help the situation, and if the town can get some money out of it for land that we're not using and not ever going to use, that's something that the board would have to think about.
What's the best way to do this?
Well, I had auctioned it with a deed restriction that said they can't subdivide it to other people, can't sell any parcels, that sort of thing, so that you keep it for its intended purpose, right? So that somebody doesn't come along and say, I want to buy 3 of those parcels and build a camp.
Right.
Okay? So you can come up with whatever you think is reasonable for deed restrictions if you want to, and make it part of what it is they're buying. They're buying it subject to that. That's the way to do it.
I know one fella down in there wants, and he might be the guy that you're talking about, I don't know. But I know he'd like to buy it and put a small garage on there, so he could store his boat.
Yep.
In the winter, when he goes
Yep.
to Florida.
So I think we should
The whole idea.
figure it out, and help them. If I had property down there, I would like to own across the road too and put a garage there. And not have somebody come in there and put a tent up during the summer.
That's a private road, so they could combine their lot with another lot in the future if they wanted to, right?
No, that's a town road.
Is that a town
road, yeah.
Town plows that.
Okay, so it's,
No, they plow right to the end,
Yeah.
so, okay.
right to Danny Hales,
I'd like a field
basically.
trip, cause I'm visual, I wanna see it. I have no opinion until I can see it.
Well, I've seen
I don't know
it,
what we're talking about.
and I think that we should do what we can do to help these people out.
Yeah, you've done a bunch of work down there, right,
Yeah,
Joe?
I know it's down there.
You know it very well, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I know what we can legally do, but we should be able to help them out if we can.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that, from the
Get
town's,
some money into the town coffers to, you know,
I was just gonna say, the biggest thing from the town standpoint is that land is unusable, as far as the town's concerned. We're gonna double the size of the parking lot, we're gonna do all kinds of things, but we're not even gonna get close to that.
Nowhere
land.
near there.
nowhere near it, no.
Yeah,
I mean, the only thing that land is good for what these people want it for.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yep. Okay, well, I think that just, everybody, when they get a chance, should go down there and take a look at it. And we can talk about it at the next meeting and talk a little bit more with Bob. So would the best thing to do here be auction, or not auction, but sell this through the process we have to go to as one parcel?
Depends on, thing about doing it as one parcel, you got a fellow who wants to build a garage. He wants to have it as his garage on his parcel, so maybe you do it by deed restriction that says that you can never build a residence there, there can't be anything habitable.
There isn't a problem like what Norris is saying, we can't sell a small piece of property anymore. And it's gotta be 5 acres or more and all this stuff.
No,
What is the zoning,
you could,
what is the zoning over there?
well, it's, MR district,
How-
marine
what-
residential.
Like, how wide along the road?
It would be on both sides of the road.
No, how wide would the
How wide is
dimensions?
the road?
What's the minimum size parcels, what you guys?
Yeah,
Back as far as you wanna go.
Well, it says 15,000 square feet, but they can still, they could still sell something less than that, which
Well, I'm saying, could you have a
15,000 is
50 foot,
100 times.
you could have a 50-foot wide piece,
Mhm.
and then whatever that
It's
works
just
out.
they couldn't
So-
put a
so it'd
house
be-
on it.
So if it's 15,000, that'd be 300 feet deep, not 50 feet deep.
No.
A smart thing for them to do would be to have them do this amongst themselves, get together, form a group,
Yeah.
come to the board, suggest it to the board, and then we could just go through our procedure and sell it as one parcel. What they do with it, as long as they're within our zoning regulations, that's my thought.
Well, I just don't wanna end up with something that kinda gets, you know, with best intentions, and then later on, we have this lot that's kind of a weirdo thing, and, kind of go to the, you know, the zoning, grievance board, and I got this weird piece of property that I'm stuck with, I'm limited what I gotta do, and then we gotta kind of almost live with a lot that we kinda created. You know, you need to think about stuff.
Okay, I just think that we should, take a look at it and get some ideas, and also maybe talk to a couple of the people down there. John, you know a couple of those people.
But that same piece of property, if we have no use for that down there, and it was 300 feet deep or 50 feet deep, and it makes no difference, fine, let it go, let it be 300 feet deep, you know?
Yeah, because it's no good to us.
Yeah,
You know,
you're right.
and we end up with an
Tell
actual
us
real
doable, we
building
gotta
lot.
figure it out.
I mean,
Yep.
they gotta draw fill in anyways, just to do anything there, pretty much. Hasn't it, John?
Huh?
They gotta draw fill in,
Yeah, I think, if I remember right, it's kinda deep.
yeah,
Well,
to do anything.
Okay, I'll, move on to the next one. Number 17, budget transfers. March 24th, 2021.
We have budget transfers?
General A. We are gonna debit supervisor personal services, $369. We're gonna debit the clerk to the supervisor, $648. We're gonna debit tax collections personal services, $132. We're gonna debit the budget officer personal services, $283. We're gonna debit the assessment personal services, $822. The town clerk personal services, $533. Buildings personal services, $20. Superintendent of highways personal services, $839. Deputy highway superintendent, $39. Recreation, PT and personal services, $326. Refuse and garbage personal services, $599. Those are the debits. The credits under General A, supervisor contractual, credit, $1,017. Budget prep, contractual, credit, $283. Assessment contractual, credit, $842. Town clerk contractual, credit, $665. Garage electricity credit, $878. Recreational, full-time and personal services, credit, $326. Garbage charges revenue, credit, $599. Changes due to auditors saying we need to book accrued payroll. So that was something that, our new bookkeeper and the auditors have said that we have to accrue the payroll. So that's caused all those changes, which, as you can see, most all of them are payroll except for a couple contractuals.
So at the end of the year, we have a payroll, a 2-week payroll, and part of it is the prior year,
Okay,
and the rest of it is the current year. I believe that's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
okay, that makes sense.
So they're gonna expect, because in the prior, they took that entire 2 weeks as a current year expense, even though 1 week was in the prior year. Because then the other thing is, they also, in the past, okay, say you had a 2% increase on the wages, they put that whole thing, even though 1 week was in the prior year, it was not, I think this is a lot better way to do it.
Okay, that makes, I was gonna ask, but that makes 100% sense.
Because what you'd have is, if you had a 2% raise, you'd have, the first week would be at a lower rate, second week would be at a 2% higher rate.
Okay.
Okay, so, moving on, Still in general A, recreational contractual expenses, $46 debit, recreational heating fuel, $46 credit, to cover arena expenses within its own fund.
This one, to go back to the other one before, just to, you know, this is, this A 2130, refuse and garbage charges revenue.
Yep.
Is that like additional, like we actually have, we were in the plus? Is that what that's saying?
That's a credit to that.
So that was, that's real money, that we, okay.
Refuse garbage contractual $11 debit, refuse garbage charges revenue $11 credit, to cover expenses, transfer site expenses with increased revenue. I was gonna say, most of these things are based on revenue, because the revenue is higher than what we projected.
Okay.
Which is a good thing. General B, zoning personal services, $232, zoning equipment credit, $232, cover expenses within its own fund. Highway DA, machinery personal services, $6,300, machinery contractual credit, $6,300, to cover expenses within its own fund. Redwood Sewer, sanitary sewer, high health insurance buyout, personal services, $499 debit, sanitary sewer contractual expenses, $499 credit, cover expenses within its own fund. CB Water, Carnegie Bay, water administrator PS, $25 debit, administration contractual expenses, $25 credit. Water, Edgewood Water, water administration PS, $17 debit, administration contractual expenses, $17 credit. Redwood Water administration contractual expenses, $132 debit, health insurance personal service, $132 credit, expenses within its own fund. The last one is the Route 12 Water administration PS, personal services of $200 debit, transmission distribution contractual expenses, $200 credit, employee benefits, Social Security, 12-cent debit, employee benefits, unemployment insurance, 12-cent credit. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we do the budget transfers as listed.
Motion by Sandy, I need a second.
2020.
I'll second that.
Second by Ron. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? None. Sign that and pass that down to Sandy. Okay. Highway Superintendent Report. That's number 18. We've begun spring cleanup. In the last few weeks, the men have been cutting dead trees and brush along our roads. There's also a tractor out this week sweeping the roads. We have started on Wellesley Island and we'll work our way through the rest of the town. They have also had 2 crews picking trash up alongside roads as weather permits. The men are in the process of tearing down the first 2 plow trucks, readying them for summer work. I would like the board to please revisit the idea of purchasing the 309 Caterpillar hoe. We have much road work ahead, and this machine would allow us to work quicker and more efficiently. We have secured a considerable amount of work this summer for the county and our township. This would help offset the cost of the machine, as we will charge for every hour it's on the job. We fully intend to rebuild and resurface the number 6 road as money permits. We could also put the old hoe on Auctions International to offset the costs. Thank you for your consideration on this matter. Mike. Just to give you an update on some of my conversations with Mike, I passed on to him something that we talked about a budget session, which was the difference between buying a hoe and renting a hoe, meaning that that, if he schedules and coordinates his work, he can rent a hoe for a month for $5,000, and versus, anybody remember what the purchase price was for that cat hoe last year?
$160, wasn't it, I think?
$160,000.
I think it was.
Yeah. He understood that, because I also explained to him that we're 3 months into a year, and there was 2 requests for equipment from Mike, one for the trailer and one for the hoe, and we said okay for the trailer and we said no for the hoe, I believe, is that right? So, for us to go buy a $160,000 hoe, where would we get the money? It would come out of his budget. That would probably be, as we know, we're all trying to put more money into road projects and road paving. So that could affect that unless we went to reserve funds. And also the part, in here about the county job that will be getting paid for the use of it. I think we did have a fairly sizable debt with the county that we owed. And if we do work for the county this year, that'll bring that debt down. That's how the county shared services work, that's how that goes. So, does anybody else have any other comments on anything or what they wanna say?
Can we use the $5,000 a month rented hoe that work for the county too?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it does not make any sense at all to spend $160,000 on a piece of machinery you can rent for $5,000 a month. And let them worry about it breaking down, and I don't even see where there's a question, but it's only me.
Didn't we have that discussion
Yes, we
during
did.
budget time, and we got into that in depth, and nothing's changed, right?
And didn't the machinery outfit tell you that it'd be not very wise to buy?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you can use it 12 months out of the year, it's hardly worth it.
Right, sits most of the time.
Yeah.
In your email, you sent some of this information, and you said you're gonna talk to the superintendent of highways about coming tonight, and I didn't see anything after that. Did you talk to him about coming tonight?
Yeah, I did, and he definitely expressed to me that he didn't feel well. He had a health issue that he told me about this afternoon, and that he wouldn't be able to make it, so.
Okay,
And
well,
I definitely understood what he was talking about, and that all took place after my email, when I asked him to be here, so.
okay,
Yep.
I mean, I think if you could work it 12 months out of the year, that'd be one story, but
right,
when you're only gonna use it 3 or 4 months probably, times 5 is
Yeah.
20,000 versus 160.
Yeah.
And the outfit that you're renting it off, leasing it off, if something goes wrong, they come fix it, it's their problem.
right.
I mean, I don't see the.
I mean, and also to summarize what you guys are saying, is that, you spend $160,000 on a hoe. One thing we've been talking about here for 6 months is we wanna put more money into road improvements.
Right.
And I think that by renting a hoe, like $5,000 a month, or if he's got so much work with the county that he has to rent it for 2 months, then it's $10,000. Versus the $170,000 expenditure, plus interest, and when you own the hoe,
Bonding.
you got maintenance. Now, hopefully not too much on a brand new one, and as John has said to me many a times, when that hoe breaks, or there's a problem with it, if you have a rental, you call them and they bring in another one.
Right. But again, we went through this in detail during the budget time, and I don't see why we should spend any time talking about it unless something has changed.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything having changed since we went through all this.
Okay, so that's pretty much his report. That's where we're at there. Zoning report. You have anything, Norris?
Yeah, I can tell you what we did in February here, 21. We took in $910. It's always slow there in January and February. In the month of February, we gave out 3 permits, making a total of 5 year-to-date. We had 1 subdivision, that makes 4 from year-to-date. 4 variances granted, making 5. Variances denied, 0. We had 2 site plans, and, no special use permits. I sent out, 5 violation letters and 1 registered letter, and a couple of them was on the 2 papers that Bob has got. No court cases whatsoever, and we had 1 lot line adjustment for February.
Okay,
And in March here, we've been very busy. For next month, we got 4 subdivisions plus the Wells Allen Water Court and everything like that to discuss, so.
okay. Jamie, what do you have for water?
So, last month, we've done, the daily and weekly testing in the water districts. Since the weather's been decent last couple days, I've been walking up and checking Route 12, see if I can find the leak that we have. It hasn't got any bigger, hasn't got any smaller, so.
What were the figures we put together on that leak the other day?
Losing about 3 gallons a minute.
And we figured that to what? How many dollars a year?
So, well, around $9,000 a year.
Yeah. And that's basically unaccounted for water on Route 12.
Yeah, I'm losing about 3 gallons a minute. And a 1/4 inch line will put out 5 gallons a minute at 60 PSI, so I mean, it's not a very big leak. I mean, to find
And
it,
as you
just
said the
kinda
other day,
overwalk.
as you said, it could be a couple small leaks.
Could be a couple small ones. Yeah, it could
Or
be,
smaller.
Could be a joint, a couple joints. I'm looking.
$9,000 worth of water a year.
About 30,000 gallons every week.
As I asked you the other day, is there any way you can divide the area where you're looking into segments?
No.
Because you don't have other master meters
No.
or shut-offs.
We just got the master meter when it starts, at the beginning at the pump station, and right to the end, so,
How big is that line?
12-inch.
Well, this is going from possibly between the pump station on Route 12, all the way out to, say, Price Chopper, all of that whole length?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so. I'm trying to find a 1/4 inch leak in 7 miles. So, it could be, hopefully once it dries up, I'll just keep looking.
How long would you say this has been going on?
Been going on most of the winter.
How deep are those lines normally buried?
How deep? About 6 feet. 5 to 6 feet. So, to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found one little one, and then that just happened to be beside a, valve box, so it come out through the valve box,
So what they've been doing, and they've been doing this for a week or more, is when they get their other work done and they go up through there and they basically walk areas and check areas out because they're looking for surface water.
Those lines are buried in the sand, right, supposedly?
Yeah.
So that could go a long way.
Oh, yeah, So we got a spot by the Napa that's wet. Could be a leak, could be groundwater. I mean, I checked it for chlorine the last 5 days. Nothing, so,
Doesn't chlorine dissipate fast?
yes.
So it could be a leak and chlorine gone by the time it gets to.
Then the other problem you have is with, being so, the road's getting solid, that'll show up on my, test too, so. You might get a faint sometimes, and sometimes you don't, so, like I said.
And there's a lot of salt on the sides of those roads up there. 'Cause there you can see how white they are.
Yeah, so, besides that, we've, me and Jay attended, 2 trainings, one for the DOT, or, DOH, and one for Dig Safe. Been working with Jay in the sewer plant, you know, whenever he needs help changing a pump or whatever else. You know, I've been working every other weekend at the water and sewer, doing the testing at the rink. I've helped Jerry with ice maintenance. E&J changed the bearings. And then we had to fix the overhead door that the spring broke on. And I took my sewer license today and unfortunately missed it by 2 points.
So you take it again in 3 months? Yeah.
And I just want the board to know that you guys paid for the first test I took, and I'm paying for the rest of them until I pass it, so.
Obviously not a simple test, huh?
No. No, I thought I had it today, but
I didn't hear you say on the list that you fixed the water cooler,
oh, and I fixed the water cooler.
that we were gonna go buy a $125 new one. And I
Nicole
said to
it was
Jamie,
out.
let's check this out, and we checked the thing out, and we played around with it a little bit, and he said, let me take it to the sewer plant, and Jay and I will look at it. And it was back here about an hour later, and all the lights were green. I asked him what they did to it, and he won't tell me, but it's working.
Yep, that's all that matters. Job security.
Huh?
That's job security.
Thank you for fixing it, and saving us $125. You all set? Have you done?
Yeah.
Sewer report, number 21, from Jay, perform daily, weekly, and monthly testing and reports. Daily duties include tilling the beds because of the nicer weather. I think he's been out there tilling the beds, attended training seminar for Department of Health and DEC credits, ordered and received 20 new grinder pumps from E1. We saved $3,680 by ordering all 20 at once compared to increments of 5. Jamie and I changed 5 pumps in Redwood. I rebuilt 2 pumps. Helped Jamie in the water department as needed, taking turns doing weekend duties. Helped out at the rink, changing the blade on the Zamboni, replacing the bearings on the main auger. The 3 of us pulled the sled out for removal. Then we took the auger to my shop for repair, used my tools and torches at no extra cost to the town. Jamie and I repaired the main spring on the Zamboni overhead door. It's a temporary repair. The door needs replacement. I'd like to say thank you to Jay and Jamie for doing that, and Jay for the no extra cost to the town. I got on here, replaced another pump. He called me today, he replaced another one today.
Mm-hmm.
Where was that?
That was at, was on Elm Street, I don't know.
He did it by himself?
He got it all unwired, and as soon as I got home, I helped him pull it and put the new one in.
Yeah.
It's not a one-man job for him.
No, I was gonna say, I was with you guys on a couple of those, and there's no way is it a one-man job.
He called me and told me to hurry up, so.
Okay. Okay, Baptist Church letter. The Baptist Church is next to our arena. To Brent Sweet and the Town of Alexandria Town Board, we would like to give a shout out to Jerry Duran with great appreciation for the work he has done clearing our parking lot of snow this winter. He has done a super job. We also appreciate your partnership as we serve the community together. God bless you all. And what they mean there is that that parking lot is owned by the Baptist Church, and I believe the Baptist Church owns up to about 4 feet from our building.
I think it's closer than that.
Is it?
Yeah, maybe like 2.
So we keep their parking lot plowed, and we also, when they have church things going on, we make sure that Jerry makes sure that he puts cones out and there's no parking over there, and keeps the parking lot, their parking lot, open for them to use. And they're just thanking us for that. I've had somebody call me a couple times about a leash law. We presently have the Jefferson County Dog Control. Any thoughts on that, about what is that process, or what?
You gonna write tickets for that too?
What's that?
Said you gonna write tickets for that too? Well, that's the problem, is enforcement. You know, you can adopt the law, but if you're not gonna enforce it, it doesn't mean anything.
It'd be town-wide, wouldn't it?
Well, that's what you have jurisdiction over, yeah.
So then the farmer would have to keep his dog on leash too, right? I think we went through this 20 years ago.
Probably did it 40 years ago too.
Because the towns aren't incorporated. So, to have a leash law, you gotta get the whole town,
Right,
and everybody's dog will have to be on a leash.
right, and then they aren't, and then you get phone calls. Then
So
who's
it's
gonna
a
write the ticket?
It's a process you go through, public hearing, the whole thing, and then you gotta have an enforcement branch.
Right, it's done by ordinance, and, you know, you establish fines, but then somebody's gotta write the tickets. Then you gotta take them to justice court, and then you're gonna hear about how they put up an electric fence and the dog charged through the electric fence, they didn't mean to, but they did. That's why they bought it, so it wouldn't have to be on a leash, and it goes and goes and goes. I've been through this.
Yeah, I kinda knew that, I know back when I was involved with the village, they took it upon themselves to enforce the enforcement end of it, the village did, and they captured a couple dogs that were in violation of the leash law, and they took them to the village barn where they had a cage, and somebody forgot to watch one of the dogs over the weekend, and the dog died. And just huge liability.
It's like a terrible story.
Yeah. It was 20 years ago, but it's just, we get into this dog thing and it's just got so many different ramifications. You know, I read the reports and I see what the county does struggling with it.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not cheap, as we all know. So, but I also wanna combine with that this 24, implement local law with fine structure for violations of docking at town Butterfield Lake docks and Goose Bay dock along with Goose Bay parking lot. So, I guess the biggest thing is which is very similar to what we just talked about, if we're gonna adopt local laws and have some means to enforce things, we've got these 2 dock facilities that are being misused in overnight docking and people leaving their boats there, okay? We have a sign, I think, on each one of these docks that all it says is no overnight parking. I mean, is that sign even legal to have there if you have no local law or have no rule?
We can have a sign there, but it doesn't mean anything.
So for...
Is it legal to have a sign there? Sure, but...
Yeah. Any suggestions?
Well, I don't know, he's got to
Show up at
enforce
night,
it.
show up at night, and if their boat is unattended, untie it.
Hold on.
It sounds like the dog story.
I wouldn't treat that as an navigation.
Didn't they have a problem a while ago about a health issue on Butterfield Lake, and they got there with the boat, no place to dock to get the guy out or something?
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
put signs up.
Dock was full, the rescue people went out to the guy's camp, was having a heart attack, got him on the gurney, came back to the dock to take him to the ambulance, and the dock was full of boats. I mean, they ended up carrying him over boats and stepping through boats and the whole deal, but it made it a real difficult situation.
I mean, it just goes and goes. Do you allow them to drink beer at the dock? So you go there and try to kick them off, and the guy's had a six-pack of beer, you're gonna say, get away from our dock with your six-pack of beer? I don't think so. And it just goes and goes.
I have a
I
couple.
like your idea myself. 2, 3 times that, they'll put another dock in there.
I have a couple people at Butterfield Lake especially, that live right there by the town dock. And they monitor the dock very closely. They have multiple cameras set on the docks so that they, on a regular basis, send me pictures of what's going on that dock. And they have I wanna say 3 or 4 boats on a regular basis that park there overnight. And they're looking for, us to do something about it.
Can we deputize them? I said, can we deputize them?
You're probably better off saying something like no dockage after 9 PM or something like that, rather than no overnight docking. That's pretty loose.
But even so.
Well, you still have the whole enforcement problem. I'm not saying you don't.
And like Sandy's saying, who's got a deputy or however, you know, none of us are cops.
I remember at the village, whenever we got into these things, that, you know, the village had a police department, first of all, and that we created some new regulations, but there was already regulations on the book. So it was as simple as just adding to it, of which you have to go through the formal process, but we have none of that. So we'd be starting from scratch. And then, how do we have any teeth in the deal? I mean, so could we set up a fine structure after we went through the complete legal process and have a fine structure that we could enforce? But that requires a ticket situation.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know the answer. You know?
I mean, I don't know whether if it's a town-owned dock, whether you could claim it was a trespass on town property after a certain hour. And, you know, have the good luck in the state police or the sheriff to do anything about that, but, yeah, you know, that's the sort of thing that is trespassing on town property after a certain hour.
Is there any way to have a sign says, like 9 o'clock is the limit, and then get the numbers off a boat that's there in violation of it, give it to the local agency, and they could tell us who it is, and try to have an actual conversation with the person, say, hey, the sign says such and such, you know, we'd appreciate if you would not, you know, do that. I'm just thinking some way to start.
Yep.
And then that person says, you know, they'll just say, oh, okay. I mean, put it this way, some are gonna just laugh and say, you know.
I mean, where are they going? It's Redwood. I mean, I'm not trying to, but honestly, where are they going that they're leaving their boats there?
They're probably, some of them are people who have camps on the lake, and they go.
Oh, they have a car and they go and go
home to their other place or to their other house, and they bring their boat from their camp. They leave their boat at the nicely provided brand new town dock, and get in their car and go home.
Could be island people, you're right.
And come back a week later and use it.
There are
Could you
people.
put a camera up and just say that it's under surveillance after 9 o'clock? Something like that? And
Sounds
put
like
it
it's
up on
already like it is.
So no one can get up
If you have the
and
teeth.
get the camera or
But
break
if
it?
it's-
Well, you could try.
No, I'm just saying, if you have
Now, after
cameras
9
out
o'clock,
there,
it's
you know,
under
so it's
surveillance
like,
and-
okay, fine, they'll just wave and say.
I mean,
think that would deter people. I think that would scare people.
sounds like what we're talking about is similar to what I ended up doing at Goose Bay when I was getting phone calls every weekend that the Goose Bay parking lot was filled to the brim, and it was filled with trailers that were not attached to vehicles. So I made up I don't wanna call it a ticket, we'll call it a little note. I made up a note stating what our rules were for the Goose Bay parking lot, which is no overnight or whatever. And I made up that note, and I put my phone number on that note, and told them that they were in violation, and didn't say what we were gonna do, or didn't threaten to tow, or did any of that. And I had a few people, I probably had 5 or 10 different people call me and talk to me about what the deal is. And I told them what the deal was, and we had rules and regulations, and it took care of some situations. I think that that's one of the reasons we have those people that wanna buy that land, because there's people at Goose Bay that boat on Goose Bay and boat on the river that have no place to put their trailers. So when the town put this lot up there, wow, I got a place to put my trailer for the
Well,
summer.
they're local.
They're just
But
putting their
when you're
trailer.
talking about people that are coming from outside of town, they're just gonna throw that ticket in the water. I mean, they'll be gone in 3 days.
And you know, if people are coming to put their boat in the water and use that parking lot the way it was designed and the way it should be, their vehicle's gonna be attached to that trailer, for most of them. And this lot, when the first time I went there, had 31 trailers that were not attached to anything.
sign up, say unattended trailers will be sold.
Have an option right there.
So I think what Ronnie said is just kinda do a similar process down there is, you know, when people are abusing the privilege of what our regulation is, put a note on their boat.
On their windshield.
And I think we should put a couple more signs up down there, or another sign or whatever, to say what our regulation is, and rather than no overnight, put an hour on it like you're saying. And that's the only thing I can say that we can start doing. Without creating local laws and public hearings and hiring enforcement officers.
You say not after 9 and not before, I mean, you need to have the other end too, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could say no overnight.
9 PM to 5 AM or something like that, or, I don't know.
Yeah.
But both ends of it.
Well, I'll talk with there's about 2 or 3 houses down there that they're really pushing me on this deal. So I'll just talk with them and we'll have to come up with something. Like I said, the one lady's she's gotta have 3 or 4 cameras right there. And they're cameras they're the Ring camera, so you can talk through them, you can hear the people, what they say, and you can talk to the people.
Yeah.
She talks to the people.
Yeah.
Why is she so angry about it? I guess I mean, is it because she leaves her boat there and she doesn't want somebody taking her boat slip? I mean, what is the reason why she's monitoring them that much?
Some people.
She has a lot of spare time on it. She has a lot of spare time in her hands.
Yeah, some people just do stuff.
Maybe we could give her a badge, you know?
I mean, that's just scary. I mean, these people she doesn't even know, she might really make somebody angry and,
Yeah.
you know, that's, you know, it's a scary thing.
Well, the other parts of the story is that she's done some good for the town, is that I had a new sign made and put a new sign up down there about overnight dockage. And lo and behold, a month and a half after I put the new sign up down there, she called me and she's all excited and she sent me this video. And she's got a picture of a guy at our sign with a wrench.
Taking it off?
And he took the sign off and he stuck it under his arm.
No.
And he walked by and he walked right by our house and she tried to stop him by yelling at him through the camera. And the guy is going like this. Right? You think I'm making this up, but I'm not. And the guy's going like this. Well, she had another camera over on the other side of her house, right? He goes and takes that sign and goes over by the boat ramp and throws it in the marsh.
Oh.
She's got the whole thing.
So what do you do about it?
So I called the guy. We found out who the guy was. I called the guy. He wouldn't answer his phone. And left him a message. Next day, the sign was back up. And she also had that on video.
Was it the guy that threw it in there? Wow. That's good.
Yeah, she didn't show me the part where he went into the marsh and got it, but the sign showed back up, so.
She's enforcing the law.
That's a better story than the dog story.
Yeah.
Neighborhood law.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's texting me. The request came from the president of the Lake Association. Boat owners in the lake that want to come into town don't have a place to park when they want to go to church or to get an ice cream.
Yeah.
So that tells you where it came from. I mean, it's not just one person or just a couple people. There's a bunch of people that use that dock. It's a very popular place. I've been down there many a time when I get these phone calls. So, I think we try to do what Ronnie said. We try to do some more signage and we try to watch it, monitor it, and
This lady know who these guys are, they're doing this, it's probably the same people leaving the boats there.
Yep.
There's a bunch of islands out there, and I imagine they probably leave their boat there.
Yep.
And maybe if you could say, look, this just can't happen, over and over, please.
Yeah.
It'd be worth a try.
Yeah. I mean, I guess what I just wanted to explain to them is that how difficult it would be and how expensive it could be for the town of Alexandria to try to put something, you know, do a local law and create a way that we could enforce that. versus what we're just talking about doing, and that is, you know, talking to the people that are abusing it, or leaving them a note, or whatever. That's the biggest thing that I wanted to hear, you know, what we could do legally. I pretty much knew what Bob was gonna tell us, that we have to go through a major process.
But and I'll go back to the dog thing. Yes, it's very expensive, and when 98% of your dog owners are responsible pet owners and are walking around leashes and doing the right thing, but I know over in Redwood, they have 2 different families that their dogs are not under control and like go after people. They went after my daughter's dog. She ended up getting rid of it. She says, I can't even take my dog for a walk, and they have called and called Watertown, and I know the residents over in Redwood are very frustrated, but again, it's 2 families that don't take care of their animals.
Is it the same in ours?
Mm-hmm,
They come after me.
yeah.
And the dog warden has been called multiple times on a couple of those dogs that I know of, and the dog warden I know has responded sometimes, and I think a lot of it was the same dog.
Yeah, it's a Saint Bernard.
Yeah. She just texted me back, one person that leaves are both there, they're both there for weeks at a time. They lives nowhere near there, they just park there, but all summer when they come and go, and they use the dock. They go out and use their boat.
Yeah.
So, I think we've gotta concentrate on these people that are abusing it and tell them, you know. Yep. Okay. Number 25, union negotiations. You guys have had a couple meetings, and you've got a list of things that we're gonna talk about in executive session because it's under negotiations, right?
Yep.
Public employee emergency plan. I don't know if everybody's taken a look at this. We're supposed to adopt this by April 1st, right, Jesse?
Yes.
I took a look at it, been through it. There was some small edits that I had, talked to Jessie about, that she agreed with, and we changed those. Anybody have any comments on it?
This is mostly boilerplate, right?
Yep.
It's just,
Right, Jessie?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah, it just covers everything, it covers, you know, first responders, essential workers, it pretty much covers everyone in the whole municipal.
so this would cover everybody in the town.
Yeah, and highway included, just so you know.
So, I'd like a motion that we accept the public employer health emergency plan for the town of Alexandria that was written on February 10th, 2021. And it's been developed in accordance with New York State legislation S8617B/A10832.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Sandy, second.
Yeah, what's the difference between the one you gave us tonight and one that I had before?
So, okay, so I gave you two original ones.
Yeah, one was highway.
One was the highway that Mike did, and one was the overall town of
Correct.
Alexandria essential workers. And the overall one incorporates everybody.
This is the
Highway.
last one you gave us.
The last one,
Yeah, because there's more, okay.
Yeah, it's just, Brent had some changes that were very, very easy, so we changed those really quickly. Other than that, everything is based on, pretty much what everyone else is using for their township, you know? And it encompasses everyone. I just wanted to make sure you had both, because Mike had given
Well, I know.
me that one, so I just wanted to make sure everyone received it.
I second the motion.
So we got a second by John, and any discussion, I just wanna say that this is the one that we've done for the overall town that would include all departments and all employees in the town.
This would be our one and only.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none. Employee non-union health benefit contribution, we kinda talked about that has been, that's part of the negotiations that you're doing with the union. Do we wanna wait to discuss that until you have finished and come up with something for the union?
I think we should wait.
Yeah.
Not discuss it right now.
I mean, one thing we always try to do here with this stuff is keep everybody even as far as you know, a lot of different things here, so.
But it's one of the issues that we're gonna be discussing in regard to negotiations, so.
Yeah.
It would seem appropriate to keep that discussion in executive session for now.
Did you
Okay.
skip did you skip something?
27, 28.
Yeah, you skipped 27.
27 and 28.
Seven?
Municipal solution.
Oh, yeah, wow. Okay, so I think you guys have got that paperwork in front of you.
Yep.
And this is for the Route 12 project, Rob.
Yep.
And, there's really two parts to this. One is the general contract for $5,500 for them to take care of, can you explain a little bit, just real briefly, Rob, what they do?
Municipal Solutions is what we call a fiscal advisor, all right? So what they will do is, they'll give you fiscal advice throughout the project, which will include, handling, the multiple funding agencies you have, helping with, debt retirement schedules, for bond counsel. If you need short-term funding, like a bond anticipation note, they will market that for you and try to get you the best interest rates. So on a project like this, they have multiple funding streams, and you also will have the need for short-term borrowing. I would recommend you have a fiscal advisor. I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not a fiscal advisor, okay? You need somebody like this that is actually, they're certified, to do this sort of work and handle the finances for the project. And they'll be of help to Jesse as we move through this, and, I don't know if you work with.
We've worked with them
You've worked
before,
with
and
Jesse,
they're really
that's
good, yeah.
And the town has worked with them before. There's a handful of them around the state, but they're certainly qualified. And Jeff also will help you with the repayment schedule, for the early expenditures for this project back to the general fund, which has to be repaid. So he's gotta set that debt schedule up for you as well.
Yeah, and you can call him anytime, that's what I like
He's
about
very accessible.
Yeah, very effective, yeah.
Always
Talk with them about
accessible,
things.
and, it is a budgeted expense. We carried a line item in the budget for a fiscal advisor, which is in excess of what the agreement was.
Yeah. So the one other part to this, is that we have $119,000 that, you can explain that we took out explain where that $119,000 that the town has used out of general A to pay that interfund. So the state or the federal government looked at that and felt that we had to finance that in some way, or take care of that.
Oh, right, so EFC, when they reviewed your bond documents, they said, well, this expenditure was prior to the most recent bond resolution, so it can't be financed within their project. So, it's in the budget, but it just couldn't be financed within, EFC financing. So it's gotta be financed independently back to the general fund, cause you have to pay the general fund back.
And it was for $119,000 that was spent in relation to the formation and the starting of this
All the
project.
legal fees, some of our preliminary design fees, environmental studies, all the stuff early on that happened.
Yeah.
But because it was under the original bond resolution, and you had a short-term ban, here I go, and I'm talking about stuff I shouldn't be talking about, but Jeff can better explain it to you. But, then that ban was paid back, because the project got put on hold, and it got.
It really got canceled.
It got canceled, maybe is a proper term.
Yeah.
And all that happened, and then the project came to light again because we had a different financing, okay? But all those costs, the $119,000 is in the current budget, and in the current, it will be recouped through user costs and those sorts of things. So you just have to finance it outside the original bond, or the recent bond resolution, because it occurred prior to that date, is the way I understand it. I'm not bond counsel.
So this is a separate financing arrangement that we're doing. It's covered within the $5,500. He's helped us with this.
Yep.
It's within the contract for the $5,500 to Municipal Solutions. And he's given us a couple different amortization schedules for time periods of 7, 10, 15, and 20 years. I talked to Rob a little bit about this, and I think that Rob's advice was to go with, I think you said either the 15 or the 20?
Again, I would talk to Jeff about it. I would then take it out close to the retirement of the other items, because it won't negatively impact user charges early on in the project, right? Because if you have too short a term, obviously, the rate, the debt schedule is gonna be higher, so user costs will be higher, and you wanna try to maintain a little more level debt schedule overall. But I would talk to Jeff about that. I don't know if you need a decision on that.
I did talk to him about it, and that's when he had sent me the 7 and the 10 years. And then I talked to you about it, and you said that your thoughts were that the longer the better, because the effect on the pricing would be less.
Yeah. So what did he say about that? Was he okay with that?
He said it's up to us.
Yeah.
So the state, I understand the state wants the general fund paid back. What I don't understand is how we're in the financing business now. And it just seems a lot.
Typical, it's no different than Redwood Sewer or any of the other districts that run on the red, and their expenses or something got paid for out of General A, and according to the comptroller's office, whenever you pay for something out of a different fund, you have 12 months to pay that back from the date that you did it. So that automatically.
That's what I'm used to.
Within the fiscal
automatically.
year, not 12 months.
Huh?
It's even worse than that, it's within the fiscal year.
That's exactly what it is, 12 months, I've talked to them. So, it's, that's the rule. I mean, we obviously haven't followed that rule because we have Redwood Sewer and ones that have been years.
Right.
But
that's my understanding also, but we're saying 15, 20 years it can be paid back.
Yeah.
So you've got one rule saying by the end of the fiscal year, all the accounts are supposed to be repaid. And now we're talking about taking an amount that would normally have to be repaid the same year, and it's gonna go out over 20 years.
I
Well,
think
that's the
It's like
term of
buying
the
a
law,
truck.
because what we're doing is taking out a loan to pay back the general fund, and then
It's like buying a truck.
how long,
But are we taking out a loan, or are we providing a loan? I'm under the impression that the town is now providing the loan, and this is an amortization schedule that the general fund is going to be receiving.
That's the way I understand it too, talking with Joe Russell. And I think the way he explained it to you, were you on the phone with me when we spoke to Joe about this? And what he said, as long as you have some repayment plan, the comptroller isn't gonna enforce that pay in the same fiscal year. Well, I think that's how he explained it to us.
And not only that, but this is what Jeff Smith from Municipal Solutions
Right.
said is the proper way to take care of the interfund loan that was between General A and Route 12 Sewer number 2. Yeah.
Again, I think if you have questions, you should talk to either Jeff and or Joe, because they,
I mean, on the one side, we're always gonna have a fund balance. I mean, barring some catastrophe, we're always gonna have a fund balance. And what we found is the interest rate, I mean, we're in an abnormally low interest rate environment right now. So the money, we've had some CDs, they don't get a lot in the way of interest. And so you could look at this as a way to invest part of our fund balance at X interest rate. And that, which leads me to my next question. I see the different interest rates he has there. And, 5 years from now, if interest gets back up to where it used to be, these are pretty small numbers. They do increase with time. I have no idea what a 20-year one would look like.
Might be in good shape.
It's going from on the 10-year one, it goes from 0.6% up to 1.45. I don't know, it just seems a lot to be in the financing business, but.
This is somewhat similar to the streetscape, our relationship with the village. We
Right.
front them the money, and then
Right,
they pay us
but that's
back.
like 2 years versus 20.
I know, but it's the same concept.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense for the term on this to be equal to, what's the EFC term on their loan?
For this, it will probably be 30,
So in a normal situation,
up to 30.
this would have been included in the EFC.
Correct.
So this would have been paid back over 30 years,
Right.
which is the ideal place. And general fund wouldn't have any funds to have to worry about getting paid back.
Yeah, and nobody realized this until EFC's, council picked up on it. And all of a sudden, they said, yep, we'll approve, cause they're gonna approve your short-term financing here this month or next month. And they said, but we can't finance this 119 because it was an expenditure that happened prior to the date of the bond resolution, the most recent bond resolution. So they said, we can't, you gotta figure out another way to take care of this. So then we called Joe Russell, and Joe said, yep, you gotta have a repayment plan, and you have to, he advised getting Jeff Spence involved. So that's how we kinda went down the road to getting this proposal together.
Right. Yep. I guess the only thing would be the interest rate, 'cause it's kinda like a crystal ball. I mean, who knows what
What to pay yourself as far as interest, you mean?
Yeah, the charge, I mean, basically, we have a customer that we're lending money to, which is the Route
Right.
12.
Right.
And we're saying, here's your payment schedule.
Just looking at the rest of these, they have more than just 10 years, I mean, they.
Oh, I mean, you can go online, you can it's easy to come up with a repayment schedule.
So I'm just saying, if you're saying we should do the match with the 30-year loan, we can do that.
I think the general fund should get the money back sooner rather than later.
I realize that, but I'm just saying, you were mentioning that.
Because we shouldn't be loaning, we shouldn't be in that business so we're in a situation, so we gotta make the best of a bad situation. And I guess, but have the terms of the EFC loan been fixed yet? As far as
No,
like,
that'll be another step, so Jeff will help you with the amortization schedule and the,
Okay.
term for that as well. So when we run the initial analysis, usually, when we calculate what user costs are gonna be,
Yep.
we usually use either 30 or 38 years, okay, or for something like this.
so,
As
and
a
how,
guide.
what's the principal amount ballpark? Is it a million, couple million, or
On this one, 4.6, probably 2 million.
2 million? I'm just thinking what we could do is have the principal amount on the EFC loan low the first 3 or 4 years, get our money back in the first 3 or 4 years, because you want a steady stream as far as the,
Level debt payment.
in a typical debt payment, right?
Yeah.
So they want that to be fairly flat, so to get the money back into the general fund as quick as we could have a small principal payment while we have this other principal payment to the general fund, and then the other kicks up. It
It's
wouldn't be that.
possible. You can talk to
Okay.
Jeff about that, but I think you could do something.
I'd just like to see the general fund repaid as soon as possible.
Why don't we just take $119,000 out of the general fund, why do that?
They already have it. It's already gone. The money's already been expended. This is how we're going to get it back. The $119,000 was paid out a couple of years ago, or whatever it was.
By us.
By us, on behalf of.
Right.
With the intent of being repaid when it went to permanent financing. And now the permanent financing is saying, that's fine, but you can't use that $119,000. Can't be part of your permanent financing. So now we're part of the financing.
Correct.
And all I'm saying is, I'm more comfortable getting it back as soon as possible, and if we do it right, I think we can. You know, I'm not comfortable with this going out 20 years.
No, I wasn't either, but because
I mean,
there
like
seems
you,
to be more interest, you know.
like, from what Ronnie's saying, we talked to Jeff. If we decide that we wanna pay this back in 3 years or 5 years, that'll tell us what the principal is and what the interest is.
What the impact of user cost is gonna be.
And then we have to
Well, that
have,
would-
Adjust the other financing.
Yeah, what's the interest rate on the EFC?
Well, the short-term financing is 0%, so there's no interest,
I
I
was
think.
gonna say 1.6.
Is it 1.6? I don't know. It's
Okay.
pretty low.
But there is an interest rate.
You know, I
It's
can't.
not one of these zero interest repayment deals?
No, I think you've got hardship on this, and, you know, I'd have to check, Ron, I don't recall offhand.
Okay.
Your permanent financing is through USDA, I believe. Your long-term, indebtedness, and USDA, there will be an interest rate. I think right now, I don't know, it's 1.6, 2%, something like that.
That's a USDA.
That's a USDA, but you have short-term money from EFC, so you don't have to have a bond anticipation note. They're actually providing you the construction financing through EFC. And then that'll get paid back when you convert the long-term with USDA.
So USDA has the same rules, they don't allow that 119 either?
That I can't answer.
Okay.
But the USDA does not provide short-term financing.
So this EFC is just short-term?
Just short-term, but you're also getting a grant from EFC. So there's a grant for it, and that's why they're willing to give you some short-term to interim finance the long-term indebtedness from USDA. So they're your gap, your construction financing, if you will.
Right.
And again, Jeff could much better explain this than I can.
So Brett, if you talk to him, I'd love to.
Yeah, I would suggest get on a call with him. I can be part of it, certainly.
Okay.
Just get him on the horn and he'll walk you through it.
Yeah, yeah. So, I'd say that we, if we can do this, we make a motion and we accept his contract, for the $5,500, as Rob explained, what that's gonna, all the other part that's gonna take care of, and whatever we do here, doesn't have to be decided tonight, and we'll talk with Jeff about.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just give me a time and I'll set up a call with him, so you.
Yeah, I called him this morning, he called me right back, so.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't need to be involved, you guys can talk to him, but if you want me to.
So I need a motion to, accept this Municipal Solutions contract and allow me to sign it, for the Route 12 Sewer District Number 2. Motion by Sandy, second by Mike. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None. Okay,
Workplace and harassment?
number 28? Oh, okay. I've been talking with the Trident Insurance people who are our insurance, and we're gonna do an anti-harassment training. I think I brought this up at the last meeting. We pretty much have all the paperwork into them, and the town employees are all gonna get an email at their email address. And that is gonna allow them to log in. They're gonna create an account with Trident University. And they're gonna create an account, and they're gonna be able to log into this course through Trident University, and it's a 1-hour anti-harassment course. At the end of the course, they will be able to print a certificate, and then we just wanna have everybody give us a copy of the certificate, so we have it on file here to meet our, anti-harassment training, that we wanna do.
When is this gonna happen?
Huh?
When is this going to happen?
When are you gonna get the email?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that Nicole, I produced the Excel sheet with everybody's name and email addresses, and it probably will happen next week.
While you're on your honeymoon.
Huh?
While you're on your honeymoon.
All of them, all aspects.
I don't know, in my,
So when you say employees, this means like ZBA, planning board, I mean, it's not like just, not the 40-hour a week people,
No,
in
this-
addition to the 40
This is
hour.
everybody, this is the same group of people that were required to do the sexual harassment
Right.
training.
Okay.
So I wanna say it's about 30 people.
This is like an annual
Yeah.
thing that we
Yes.
have to do.
Okay.
That's that. One other thing I have is that, and I added on to the end here, two things I have actually. The first thing is that, I don't know, Nicole sent a copy of the AUD to everybody. Need everybody to review that AUD, and at the next meeting, because Jesse talked to me about this, we need to have, everybody has to review it and has to what's the word, approve it?
It's not so much being approved as much as that it has to go out to the public. So once the AUD has been reviewed by the board and has been accepted, then it has to be publicized.
So it can't go out to the public till we make the resolution that,
Well, it's not really a resolution, it's just to make sure that everyone has reviewed it and just make sure that it looks, that you've reviewed it. The only thing is though, is that I do know that Nicole has uploaded it to the state already. So I'm assuming.
I thought we all got
Yeah, so I'm
copies of it.
assuming,
I
yeah,
remember
so I'm assuming
reviewing
you
it.
guys have already reviewed it in the last.
yeah, well, she sent the copies to us, I think she told us on March 12th, she told me today. So, I mean, I've looked at it, I don't know if everybody else has, or if you wanna just, make a motion to accept it, or whatever the process is we have to do to make it public. And then, that would include putting it on our website.
Yes, it has to go on there.
I mean, she did it with Mike Lasan, right?
Yes, she did.
And it's already gone to the state, so I don't
Right.
Yep.
see, I mean, it's not like we're gonna change anything or anything
Right,
else.
right.
It's a long report. I mean, it was like 91
Absolutely.
pages, and I'm
It's
like,
just acknowledging that the board
Yeah.
has,
Yep.
so,
has understood that it's out.
yeah. I'll make that motion to get it posted.
That we accept it, and, okay, motion by Sandy, second. Second by Ron, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, none. And the last item, which Bob, I'm gonna have to talk to you about, is we need to have you write a letter to Mr. Morocco. I've had 2 conversations with him, and we're not getting very far, because of the issues, that are still going on up there, or not going on, but that were in our letter, in our engineering report.
He's gonna be doing an auction.
I'm sorry?
He's gonna have an auction up there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Of
Yeah,
what?
he's gonna auction off the horse stall.
The stalls, yeah. You saw that advertised?
It's all posted up there.
Really?
Mhm.
Posted as in like,
It's inside of he's got it posted on the inside of the stalls, outside of it as well.
how does somebody find out about it if it's posted up there behind a chain link fence?
He's told a lot of people, it's with
Prospect? Oh, okay.
Yeah. It doesn't say when it is, but the flyers are starting to go out.
Okay.
So what I was gonna say is that we discussed this before, and we come up with the thoughts that we'll go up there and do the work that has to be done to clean it up, and we'll deduct it from the purchase price. This is what we talked about, isn't it?
You authorized up to 30,000, I think. I think you authorized up to 30,000, that's my recollection.
And it would be deducted from the purchase price at closing.
That's right, credit closing, that's right.
How's Morocco with this?
I mean, the thing that worries me about what we just said is that if we go up there and it ends up, we've told it's gonna cost, all of a sudden we find out it's gonna cost 50,000. And we've already started the deal.
We're not gonna do the work, we're just gonna,
Yeah,
I haven't thought about it in 2 months probably, but, I'd have to ask Chris. I know that she was in communication with his attorney. I'll have to ask her.
Are we protected in case we put the $30,000 in there and he decides not to sell it to us?
please let me take a look at at what Chris has talked to his lawyer about.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a little flat-footed on it, sorry.
Okay.
But obviously you understand our concerns, I mean,
Well-
we do wanna expedite it, but we also don't wanna waste any town dollars that we can't get back.
Understood.
Yeah,
Yep.
Need to get this done.
yeah, yes, to be.
Okay. That's all I have. We have,
On the prepaids there, I was looking at, I think we had this discussion some time ago. The town has a couple different electricity suppliers, Ambit being one, New York, Gas and Electric being another one. And just like in those bills there, Ambit was like, just under 4.6 cents. New York Gas and Electric was a little over 9 cents a kilowatt. And if there's any way that Nicole could take a look at our bills, because I thought we had National Grid also, as one of our suppliers. We have a lot of electric, bills.
services, yeah.
And, New York Gas and Electric, I don't think we should be doing any business with them. Because I think the last time that I brought this up, they were high also. And,
There's double that other rate you said just about.
yeah, and sometimes it can, one could be lower than another, whatever and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think we need to take a look and,
Yeah.
and go with one, whoever we think is the best price.
Yep. And that's the suppliers, correct?
That is the actual the electricity, the National Grid actually
Distributor.
just we pay for the distribution with them no matter what.
Yeah.
But you're allowed to have a different supplier.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Yep. I just wanna talk about the Natalie thing. I don't know if anybody else seen it locally, Natalie Porter put I thought it was a very genuine, very nice, it was either Facebook or Messenger, but it was just something that happens every year when the snow goes away. The sides of the roads look horrible. I mean, we've had lots of wind, garbage gets blown around, animals get into stuff, garbage goes everywhere. And the sides of our roads right now, they're terrible looking everywhere. I did see the highway guys were out today right along 192 up from the town barn. They had garbage cans and were picking up stuff. Natalie said her and her kids go down her road and up Hunter Road and pick up all kinds of garbage, bags and bags. And she just put it out there, she didn't say that she wanted the town to do anything specifically, but what could we do as a whole, as a community? And I know Brent did respond to her, and if you'd just like to talk about what you had said, you responded to her about the different projects with the garbage bags, and that you're gonna look into, right? And if we can get this to happen, then I think,
Yeah.
well, you tell them about the garbage bags.
My suggestion was, and I reached out to her with it, was that, because one of the parts of this that was brought up is where, if the people, the taxpayers, or people that live on these roads do this, then where do they put the garbage? And will the town take the garbage, and will the town take the garbage for free? So what I said, and asked her if she would, what she thought about it, is that we get some garbage bags from the state or the county that have identification marks on them. And as Mike said, you see this people cleaning up the sides of the state roads with the volunteer groups, and they all have, I believe they're a bright orange bag, unless they've changed to a clear now. I thought I read something that they had to change them to a clear. But we all have driven down these roads and seen the bright orange or the bright yellow bags that are set on the sides of the roads after a group has gone down there and cleaned it up. So if we could get some of these bags, or we could order a few cases of bags ourselves with our own logo on them, our own name, or Town of Alexandria, something, and we could give those out to people that want to clean up the roads. We give those bags to them, and that would be a way for us at the transfer site to take that bag for free. Then you got the question of, that bag should be clear so you can see inside of it. You should make sure that it's road trash that they're picking up. But it was just my thought of continuing of what her, you know, her questions were and what she was addressing.
On that particular subject, you're right, you're depending on people not doing something, like they're putting their household trash in these bags so they can go to the dump for free kind of thing,
So, and I'm kinda waiting, I was kinda waiting to hear back from her, and see if she had any thoughts, but if the board would like, I think it would be a good effort for the town to order some trash bags, and Jesse looked into this program for years of buying trash bags with their logos on them. We don't wanna buy 10,000, but maybe we should buy a minimum quantity or a small amount of bags and put Town of Alexandria on them. And we should offer those bags and give them out to people that wanna collect road trash.
Can I ask a question? Didn't the highway department used to pick up trash when they were cleaning and chipping the roads years ago?
The highway barn has been picking up trash on the sides of the roads, yeah.
Okay, I mean, so don't you have 2 extra guys that you feel you have, and why can't they do more of it?
Yeah.
Just
How do we answer the people that are taxpayers that?
Well, you can do that too, I suppose, if
Yeah.
people wanna go out and pick up when they're walking. You know, how many bags that Kathy and I picked up.
I was just gonna say.
I said, I know you have had one of them, and you and Kathy. I mean, there are a lot of wonderful citizens out there that are going out and doing this.
Yeah,
And
I
I know-
understand that, but when the men are out there and they're supposed to be ditching and chipping the wood, why can't they be doing some of it? You know how many tires that Kathy and I dug out of the dirt and pulled out and set John and Craig brought to one spot where it got picked up?
You know, and the other thing, that back when you did all that, there was discussion about that on social media, and there was a few other people from some other roads that did similar things, weren't there?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm just talking about
Yeah,
here,
I
is
mean, I, you know, when people are out and walking and, I mean,
being
they
able
still
to
pick it up.
supply those people with bags.
Yeah,
You've got
and
some extra guys there.
but could they, if they're out walking and they end up with a big bag of garbage or whatever, couldn't they leave it, you know, off to the side of the road and call the highway barn?
Like the state does.
The state does
Call the
that.
highway barn and say, hey, we picked up all this stuff, will you go to, you know, X road and just grab the bag? Can't?
Well, Mike came down and picked up well, we didn't ask him. Actually, Kathy has a brother that works for the state, and he had given her the bags for us, and he was gonna pick it up. And I don't know, you know, Mike ended up coming down and getting it, but we hadn't asked him.
But that's what I was getting at, is I think there's a lot of great community people out there that, you know, do a lot of walking, that don't mind picking it up to help clean up the area and making it look good, but, you know, if they get a ways away from their house, you know, it might not get heavy and not wanna, carry it all the way home or lug it. Myself, if I've got wet, dirty garbage from the side of the road, I really don't wanna throw it in my car, but if I could take a walk and pick up a bunch of stuff and, you know, leave it off the road, obviously you don't want it to be a road hazard, but then just call the town barn and say, hey, you know, we've got a big bag here, you know, in this location, I'm sure the town guys would go pick it up.
Yep.
You know, they've got lots of stuff, and if we could get bags, great.
Yep.
But I just thought that, you know, Natalie's post was a very nice post, and just acknowledging, you know, for her, it really bugs her to see all this garbage and up around, you know, the exits and getting off of 81, and as a community, we should all pitch together and make our community better for ourselves and for our tourists.
I mean, maybe we should put an ad in our paper and explain that, you know, if people wanna pick up trash and they wanna, on the sides of the roads and stuff, that please feel free to leave the bag on the side of the road and notify us that it's there.
Right. That's all I had.
Okay. Okay, so I need a motion to go into executive session for pending litigation and union negotiations.
Right.
Motion by Ron. Second? Sandy, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, none.
I think Karen tried calling me a few weeks ago. I thought she said she sent me an email, but I haven't received.
We gotta shut that off?
I'll check with her. If she does, and I've tried calling her back twice,
I'll get this out.
and I haven't heard back and seen her, and I've been very busy, so I haven't, you don't have too much, but my dad should be back next week.
I'm not gonna deal with it, she's gonna leave and take another job. So,
I know. Okay, that.
How many total bags did you pick up?
I don't remember, it was a lot.
I remember